All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Spoken Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
That's good.
Episode 342 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us, whether you're live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time, as we have a very, I would say, detailed show for you guys tonight, because we got a lot to go over tonight. We got obviously a lot of Chiefs conversation to get to, guys. We're going to give you guys our NFL playoff predictions as far as what we see happening. Obviously, we're going to give you our winners in the first round, the wild card round, because that is starting this Saturday, which is tomorrow, as we're filming this, as we're going live right now. But we're also going to give you guys who we think we're going to, who's our Super Bowl matchup, who's the Super Bowl winners, things like that. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight, guys. But like I said, we got a lot to get to, and we're really excited because for the first time, honestly, what seems like a while now, we have a guest. And this is a guy that I have, Trevor and I have both known for a long time. He's a guy that we've known probably, I would say since after our high school days, of course, but he was in our younger brother's age group. And this guy that's very knowledgeable in the sports world. He's put himself out there. He's put his own skin in the game, if you will. And that, what do you know? That's the name of his show, Skin in the Game. And he's been doing a great job. I've been following his work. He's a big supporter of ours as well. It's a very mutual respect that we got going on. And I decided, you know what? It's time to have him on the show. We need to get his thoughts, viewpoints, and opinions on everything that are going on in the world of sports, in particular with the Chiefs and in particular with the NFL. And I thought it'd be a great time. So really excited to have him on. He's going to be on at about 7 o'clock. So make sure and tune in, guys, especially at that time, because I'm really excited to get some of his viewpoints and thoughts on a lot of things that Trevor and I are going to talk about tonight. But first and foremost, Trevor, how are you doing? How's things going with you, man?
Terrific, man. Happy New Year to everybody. It's it's been a solid week getting this new year started with some work, and the got volleyball games, already kicking off. So I've been busy with that. But strange times, right? Not being able to talk about any Chiefs playoffs games. It's been some years since.
It feels unnatural.
Right. It doesn't feel good. It feels dirty. But also at the same time, there's some silver linings there. We get to kind of relax and not have to worry about things, but also we're gonna miss worried about things come the second round of playoffs not being in there.
Yeah.
I think the league is gonna miss the Chiefs being in there this year, but it is what it is. But overall, man, good, bro. Ready to talk some ball. That is not Chiefs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's going to be, but it's not going to be at the same time. So it's going to be an interesting night because, like Trevor said, for the first time since this show has been around, we're not going to be talking Chiefs playoffs. So it's a very weird time. But as we've told you guys before, we'll say it again here on the show, man. We are a solution-based show. We want to make sure that we're not here just to bitch and complain about things that we're upset about. We're going to give you guys solutions. We're going to give you guys viewpoints and opinions, and we want to hear yours, which is why I asked so kindly. I tell you at the top and I tell you at the bottom of the show, please go to youtube.com, go to the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, like, share, hit the notification button. Every time we go live, you will be notified. But the button we want you to hit the most tonight is the comment button. We want you guys to be a part of the show. We don't want to be just talking at you. We want to talk with you. Community-driven show here at the Spoken Podcast, and we want you guys to be a part of it. So if you're just one of those people who want to chill and sit back and enjoy the show, by all means, we appreciate that regardless. We just want you guys to hang out with us. But we figured if you're going to be here and you have an opinion, you have something to say, by all means, drop it in the chat, and we will get that on the screen, because we have a whole segment in the middle of the show called Speak It, where we get to your questions, your topics, your questions, your concerns, your everything that you got for us. We'll get to that. And we're going to hopefully get to a lot of that tonight, so I hope you guys are ready for that. But, yeah, I think this is, like I said, man, I'm really geared up and ready to go because we got a lot to talk about. We have really good guests, so I don't want to waste any more of your time, Trevor. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Yeah! We're back on motion! From out to the new beat!
Losing to the Raiders sucked, but it's the best thing for the Chiefs. And this is a very interesting dynamic Trevor and I had because we watch every game together. And Trevor and I were having two very different nights. And I'll let Trevor speak for himself, obviously, but it was a very different night for both of us. I will speak for myself and say that I was outwardly and openly rooting for the Chiefs to lose that game. And that doesn't feel right. It feels disgusting, to be honest with you. Losing sucks, period, especially to the damn Raiders. We all know that. Anybody that's been a Chiefs fan for any length of time knows that hits a personal nerve whenever you lose to a AFC West team, and especially the Raiders, who are a team that's been known for losing for the better part of 3 decades now. But that was without question the greatest thing that could have happened to the Chiefs moving forward. That's not going to be a game we remember. The only way we remember that game is 2 things. One, if that ends up being Travis Kelce's final game, which I do believe. And 2, if the Chiefs capitalize off that loss. What do I mean by that? The Chiefs currently have the 9th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. The Chiefs only have 6 draft picks as a whole at this time. I do think that's going to change. I've explained to you why, and I'll explain to you again in the near future. But as it currently stands, the Chiefs only have 6 picks, and they have a top 10 pick for the first time since they traded up 17 spots to get Patrick Mahomes in the 2017 NFL Draft. And this is the earliest draft pick the Chiefs have had since getting Eric Fisher with the number 1 overall pick in 2013. So this is very uncommon, and that goes without saying, because the Chiefs have been a part of 7 straight AFC championships, always picking at the back end of the first round, sometimes not even in the first round at all because they traded away picks. So this is very new, but in my opinion, in the way I'm choosing to look at this, it's a very exciting time because the Chiefs have a chance here to get a true franchise, difference-making, elite talent. Now, we're going to sit here for the next 3 to 4 months debating on where that talent will be and what position the Chiefs should go, and we'll have a little bit of that discussion right this very second. But I needed to set the foundation of this conversation, set the basis of this understanding, if you will, from our viewpoint, and obviously you guys give us feedback on this. But this is the best thing that can happen to the Chiefs besides getting back to what they've been doing for the last 7 years. The only thing that drives me insane more than losing in big games, if you're, I've always been of the mentality, I think Trevor shares this one, I'm sure a lot of you guys do. If the Chiefs aren't contending for Super Bowls, I want them to be terrible. Or I want them to be bad enough to have a top 10 pick. I don't want them to be 9-8. I don't want them to be 8-9.
Super Bowl or bust.
Yes, I don't want them to get the 19th overall pick. That sucks, okay? That's not good. I don't want that. It's either you're going to be contending for the best or you're going to be trying to get yourself back up to that point. There's no in between because we lived the era of mediocrity where the Chiefs were always good but never great and also never really that bad. And ironically, the last time the Chiefs were bad was right before the Chiefs went and got Andy Reid. So this is why I believe there's going to be so many drastic changes this offseason because this team knows how imperative it is to get better, and they have a golden opportunity to do so. You guys know that I have been adamant, and I think Trevor feels the same way I do to a certain degree, and again, he'll speak for himself here. But I have been saying over and over again that there is no question in my mind what the Chiefs need to do with the 9th overall pick. And this is why I was so excited when they lost this game against the Raiders because the Chiefs had a chance to fall all the way to the 12th overall pick. And you might say, Lance, there's not that big of a difference between the 9th overall pick and the 12th overall pick. No offense, but you don't understand draft capital and draft value if you think that 3 picks between 9 and 12 is not a massive difference. I can give you guys the charts of what a top 10 player usually is in the NFL and what a top 12 player usually is in the NFL. It is a significant difference. Now, people keep asking me, Lance, who would you take? I've told you guys that I've been very big on one particular position. It has been edge rush, and I've been standing by that, and I'm going to continue to stand by that. Yes, even with some recent allegations that we'll get to in just a second. Because this is the biggest need for this Chiefs team moving forward. The Chiefs in 2022 and 2023 were repeat Super Bowl champions, the first team to do it in over 2 decades. They were second in sacks in 2022, and they were second in sacks in 2023. The following 2 seasons, when the Chiefs lose in the Super Bowl and miss the playoffs outright, they were 18th and 21st in sacks. Their lead sacker this season had 7 sacks. That is unacceptable. That is not okay. And this isn't to knock anybody on this team currently or moving forward, because I think this team just simply didn't have the dogs. You were relying on an aging Chris Jones who gets double teamed almost every single snap, and George Karlaftis, who's a good but never going to be a great player. I've been saying this forever. I think he's more of a Ryan Kerrigan type guy that's going to get you 8 to 10 sacks a season. But even to that, and to my point of what I said about the difference between a 9th and a 12th overall pick, is that George Karlaftis was the 30th overall pick. Guys, my guy Jay Binkley said it perfectly this week on 96.5 The Fan. Every single draft, there are maybe at most, 10 to 12 players in every draft that has a true first-round grade. Just because there are 32 guys on a normal basis that get taken in the first round does not mean that all 32 guys had a first-round grade. So you're not picking from the litter when you're at the end of the first round. You're not getting blue chip players almost every single year at the back end of the first round. You're getting those guys, if they even are there to begin with, in the top 10. And that is what the opportunity the Chiefs have this very season. Something unlike any season previous in the Brett Veach, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid era. That's why it's so pivotal to get it right at the second, maybe at the least, at worst, the third most important position on an NFL roster, and that's edge rush. If you look at every single team right now in the postseason, they all have either respectable or elite pass rush. There is no coincidence there. That is how it works. That is how you get the job done. And again, when you look at the last 2 seasons that the Chiefs won Super Bowls, they had a top-tier pass rush. That is not a coincidence. Especially when you look at the last 2 seasons. Yes, Chiefs still made the Super Bowl, but that was a lot of Patrick Mahomes willing this team to that point. A lot of things went right that season for the Chiefs. That was not replicable, as you can clearly tell the following season. Because they didn't get better. In fact, they got worse. So the question is, well, Lance, who do you go with? Who's the guys? Well, there's a few guys out there. But the 2 biggest names, and I think the most realistic one that's going to probably be there at 9, is David Bailey from Texas Tech. I think he is the most realistic option, and if he is there at 9, I think the Chiefs absolutely have to swing and hit that button and make that call and get David Bailey out of Texas Tech. But if you're asking me who my favorite player is in this draft, the guy that I want the most for this team, it is without question Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami. Hurricane Bain. And this is why I call this season Pain for Bain. Because we just went through such a painful-ass season, one of the most ugly seasons in recent memory of my lifetime and a lot of your guys' lifetime, and it would be all worth it if they can get a talent like Ruben Bain. And I know what people are screaming at me right now. My guy Arrowhead Tom and several other people are probably saying to me right now, but Lance, he has short arms. That's actually a good point. He does. Right now, unofficially, because obviously when you go through the whole combine, all that stuff, they get your official measurements and all that stuff. Unofficially, because I've been looking everywhere to find it, everywhere I've seen from a measurement standpoint, Ruben Bain is between 30 to 31 inch arms. That is short for edge rushers. I will give him that. But here is a list of edge rushers throughout NFL history that have had 100-plus sacks in their career. And most of these guys are Hall of Famers. Sure, can we go ahead and put that list up there? Short-armed edge rushers throughout history. How about Terrell Suggs? 32 inches. Jared Allen, 32 inches. Those 2 guys played for the Chiefs, by the way. Elvis Dumerville, we know him pretty damn well out here, 32 inches. Cameron Wake, 32 inches. Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer, 32 inches. Aaron Donald, 32 and 5/8. So they had to get the technicality on there. Oh, and then that guy named John Randall. He was okay. 32 and a half inches. I get it. In most cases in life, size matters. Giggity. But when we're talking about a case to be made for a guy that can be and will be a devastator and a wrecker in this league, to me, the size doesn't always matter. And I'm a size queen when it comes to the wide receiver position. We all know this. I like my receivers taller, stronger, bigger, more physical.
Girthier, yep.
Girthy, I like a good girth. But when it comes to edge rush, I want to see, can you be a guy that can just simply wreak havoc on an offensive line and a quarterback? And from everything I have seen from Ruben Bain and David Bailey to that point, his arms aren't obviously as short as Ruben Bain's, but everything I've seen from these guys, and this is again from my limited knowledge and experience of talent evaluation, just as a fan and my fan perspective, I see a guy that can make a true difference on a defense in this league. That is why I do not want to see the Chiefs pass that opportunity up. There's been so many people out there have told me, hey, Lance, you're looking at, look at the player the Chiefs that went after the Chiefs took this guy. And what a failure that was for the Chiefs. That is exactly what I envision in this instance. If the Chiefs were to pass up on David Bailey or Ruben Bain in this year's draft, I have a strong inclination that we're going to be sitting here in 3 or 4 years going, how did they mess this up? And this is the one time they can't. Because now the Chiefs are as vulnerable as they've ever been. And they need to go and get a guy that can salvage that defense and be a true difference maker. Take the pressure off soon-to-be 32-year-old Chris Jones and allow guys like George Karlaftis to play more into a role player position as opposed to having the pressure of trying to be a top-tier pass rusher. That's not Karlaftis' game. So that's where I stand on this right now. I've given you guys references of where I stand on this position, where I'm at on this. So I'm going to pass this to Trevor. Your thoughts on the Chiefs Raiders game? I know, like I said, we were having two different vibes at the same time. Yeah. And how do you feel about this draft right now? What do you think about this list and all that, man?
I mean, to make it quick on the Raiders game, there's not much to dissect. That game was definitely a winnable game for us. Granted, we were down to our third string quarterback who we just got off another team's practice squad who was familiar with this, but 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙀𝙀 was abysmal, and then Bushell came in there, played decently well, but it was never a game that really meant anything, obviously. So other than this possibly being Travis Kelce's game, which me and you are on different sides of that, I don't think it is. But yeah, other than that, man, there wasn't really much to take away. I think Rashard Smith looked really good. They finally gave him a decent, healthy workload. They gave him damn near almost every running back touch outside of a few for Kareem, and I think Pierce got a couple. Other than that, Rashard looked really good. I liked what I saw out of him. That's something we could build on. There was a Jalen Royal sighting. I think he got a catch, first catch of his career. That was cool to see. I still like that kid. He might be in for a bigger role here soon. Who knows? Might be put into that pretty quickly. But yeah, other than that, man, this it definitely had vibes of Kelce's last game. I hate to admit that. It definitely felt that way a little bit. I don't believe it yet. I got to see it to believe it. Or I believe it when I see it, either way. I think it's going to take some time for him to really make that decision, obviously. I think he's made that clear even on his show. But yeah, that's about it from that game. As far as the draft goes, man, I mean, I think, we're pretty lock and step at how we like to draft teams. We like to build offense. You can get running backs late. You can get wide receivers in the middle rounds if you really need a wide receiver, or if you have a drastic need for a wide receiver, you can take one in the first round if you're up there. Those guys tend to pan out. But it's always edge. It's always defensive line for me in the first pick. Even if you're at the bottom of the first and you want to trade back and take a couple shots in the second round, if you have a few second-round picks, I want to stack the defensive line. That's how you win these games, man. You get a good quarterback. You protect the quarterback by drafting good offensive linemen, and you get after the opposing quarterbacks by drafting good defensive linemen. That's how you win a lot of games, man. So you can have all the sexy wide receivers and running backs all you want. A lot of those teams aren't in the dance. That's how this goes. A lot of the guys have great numbers. I mean, how many Super Bowls has Justin Jefferson been in?
Right.
You know what I mean? Jamar Chase made the dance once, but missed the playoffs 2 straight years. You know what I mean? So that's not our way of doing things. I'm right there with you. We like to go after the defensive linemen. You can never have too many. I think that's a position you keep taking shots on to find the elite guys. And if we're a good team, which we know we are, and then we happen to get an elite guy, and this is a chance to do that with the 9th overall pick, to go get an elite, blue chip kind of guy, you got to take those shots. Granted, this isn't the best draft. I get it. A lot of people are kind of down on this draft as far as the top round looking, as far as these guys being game changer type of players. There are a couple. I think you named a good one with Bain for sure. But always going defensive line in the first couple picks. I like going defensive line or linebacker, a versatile linebacker, something like that. We're gonna be missing some pieces, man. On the defensive side, possibly on the offensive side too. I'm sure we'll get to that. But there's gonna be some guys that are some familiar faces aren't gonna be back next year. We need some guys that are gonna fill in. We don't know what Omar Norman-Lott's gonna be. We don't know what Ashton Gilotti's gonna be. I have hope for those guys. I think they have a lot of upside to what they can bring here in Kansas City. But we still got to take shots, man, at that defensive line. I'm tired of going and depending on bringing Mike Pinnell back, right, Derek Nottie, and depending on those guys to be game changers. That's just, you're not going to win games like that, or it's not going to be efficient and consistent. So go get a guy that can be a dog, especially like you said with Chris Jones on his way out, having to take a lot of breathers now as these seasons go on. You see him on the sidelines a little bit more than normal. Things are changing, man. This is the tides are turning over here in Kansas City. A lot of change is coming. And I think that starts with going to get an absolute dog on the defensive line. So I'm right there with you, bro.
Yeah, and I want to just real quickly give a shout out to our guy Dustin Norton. Apparently it's his anniversary night, so shout out to him and his lovely spouse. I hope that you guys have a great night, and look forward to hearing your reactions to the podcast side of things, man. So we really appreciate that. And like I said, guys, get your questions, your comments, your takes, your concerns, whatever you guys have for us, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Trevor, I also want to transition before we get to our guy Austin Thompson here. I think one of the biggest stories, and there's plenty of them right now, is obviously Travis Kelce's potential retirement, but also now we know that the Chiefs are going to officially have a new OC next season. Matt Nagy is a free agent. I do expect him to get a head coaching job probably in the next week or so.
Yep.
The question is, who do the Chiefs fans want? And there's been a myriad of names out there. There was an unexpected firing yesterday from the Miami Dolphins with
names out there.
Yeah, with Josh McDaniel. There's some really good qualified names out there.
Back. Yeah.
And I do, just for a side note, I do believe that the Miami Dolphins fired Mike McDaniel because John Harbaugh was fired. I don't believe that happens unless that was the case. I did see the Dolphins did hire a GM today, so it's going to be interesting to see if that dynamic changes anything for John Harbaugh, because I've heard allegedly John Harbaugh told the Browns if they want to hire him, he needs $20 million a year for himself, $10+ million for his staff, and he needs to be able to be the full controller of the team. I think that's his way of saying, I don't want to go to the Browns. But I do think that the Dolphins are a very realistic option between them and the Giants for John Harbaugh. I think whichever one he doesn't go with, Kevin Stefanski gets, that's for the record.
Cleveland.
Well, tough shit here. But I put a poll out there, if we can put that on the screen, about the next OC for the Chiefs. So I went ahead and put that out there this week just to kind of get a gauge of everybody, and this is the final results here. 620 votes, 59% of you said Josh McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel, yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, I said Josh McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, thank you. Mike McDaniel significantly over Cliff Kingsbury, who's been a guy I'm big on because of the reunion. I think and here's the biggest reason why, Trevor, I think a lot of people want Mike McDaniel. It's because of the fact they know this guy can get an offense going that has a run game involved.
Yeah.
Is that we know that this dude can and will maximize the talents surrounding the quarterback. How do we know that? He got Tua to lead the league in passing yards.
Yep.
They had the number one offense for a season. He got them to the playoffs back-to-back years with a very limited quarterback who literally cannot play in temperatures below 50. So that is why I think people have an absolute belief. And he would force change. But I've told people this, and I'll continue to tell people this, Trevor.
That's the thing, man.
Here's the key. Here's the kicker.
Yeah.
I know so many Chiefs fans want a top-of-the-line, big-name OC. Yep. I'm with them. We both want that.
Yep.
The only way that happens, it all comes down to Andy Reid. Will Andy Reid be able to relinquish the play calling duty? Because none of these big names are coming to Kansas City if they know that they're just going to be Andy's understudy. If they know they're just going to take the role of every other Andy man, one of the guys underneath Andy that grew up in his tutelage.
Yeah.
If they know that's going to be the case, they're going to go somewhere else. Even if it's a lesser job, they know they're auditioning for their next head coaching gig that they feel they can and will get. So coming to Kansas City would help them if they get that opportunity. Because if you look at it, we've had this conversation. Yes, guys from the Chiefs organization that were OCs have gotten head coaching jobs, but it wasn't because of the fact that they were awesome. It's because that the respect and the reverence and the love that Andy Reid has league-wide. But if you come as an outsourced individual to Kansas City who's not an Andy Reid guy who rose up underneath him, it's a different type of precedent you set with your skill set, because it shows I came there, I made things better because they went 6-11 the year before. I came here, the offense is 12 positions better. Patrick Mahomes is back to MVP football. We're running the ball and have a balanced attack. That adds that type of incentive to your resume, to where people are like, I want that guy because he came in there and changed things for Kansas City. Does that make sense to you? Is that how you see it? Or
Absolutely. I mean, I don't see it happening. Yeah. I would love this to happen just because I would love to see a mesh of the Andy Reid offense with the Shanahan tree. I would love to see something like that, a collage of that.
Yeah.
That's something we haven't really seen before, so that'd be cool to kind of see that. Obviously, the Shanahan tree is deep, right? Those guys have all flourished. So they're all bright-minded offensive guys. And I think, like you said, I don't think he would have lost his job if Harbaugh didn't come available, right? So I think because all the signs and all the chatter was that he was going to keep his job in Miami. And I think he deservingly should. I think he's a good coach. I just think certain things were falling apart around him, and his leaders just weren't leading at the end of the day. So Yeah, man, I think Stefanski's more of a likely one. I think, something like that, which I would love that too. I think Stefanski's a really bright guy too. But I think at the end of the day, man, like I'm ready to have a different offense. You know what I mean? Obviously we've experienced the Andy Reid thing for a long time here, and it's been great. And it's I just think it's kind of ran its course. I think we do need a change. So I think Mike would be awesome to have here.
Yeah.
Have a change of pace, whole different setup, give Mahomes different, things to think about, play under center a little bit more, get guys open, spread things out a little bit more too, just do different things. Give the league something else to think about, because like I said, we've been kind of the league is catching up to us a little bit, right? So
a lot of it.
Yeah. And then and possibly not having Kelsey in the offense. Everything is going to has a chance to be drastically different, not just a little bit different, drastically different. Bringing in a high caliber OC, who I think would be really exciting for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone the playbook and what we're going to see on the field, but just something for the fans to look forward to, especially if Kelsey is gone. That's going to be a big blow to the fan base, right? So that gives them, puts a little bit of sugar with the salt of that exit there of our guy. So we'll see, man. But yeah, I don't think that's likely to happen. I think he still should go get another head coaching job, in my opinion. I still think he's due. There's other openings, right? So I still think that's a possibility for him, but yeah, I think Cliff would be great. I would love to have Cliff here. That would be my choice personally.
Schematically, they're so different, but I think that they both can be equally as effective in this offense, because once again, I'm talking about the idea of those guys actually running the offense. Yeah. That's the context here that we have to hammer home. Right. Because if these guys if they're being, because the first thing they're going to ask their agent when the agent calls them and says, hey, Kansas City is interesting, they'd like to book a meeting with you. Yeah. They're going to say, am I calling plays or not? Because I'm telling you right now, these guys are too big of names.
Yeah.
Stefanski, Kingsbury, and McDaniel. They're not coming to Kansas City if Andy Reid's running this offense. So that's why I'm trying to get my fellow Chiefs fans here to be ready for that.
Yeah.
That if it ends up being a shield house from the Rams, which I'm fine with, then we have to understand and be realistic about a name like that being the actual guy, or a Mike Kafka coming back. Things like that, to me, that is moving backwards.
We all want a sexy pick, right? We all want a big name guy.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Moving backwards is not the goal here.
Most likely that's not going to. All I want is Dave Toub gone. Like, can we just make that happen? That's all I want to happen, bro. Like, we can make a change in the special teams, please.
Yeah, just like I said, moving backwards is not the goal here. Moving forward is it. And speaking of moving forward, we're moving right along with the show, because we have a guy that I have a lot of respect for. Known him for quite a long time. He's made a hell of an impact on his own show. He has some great quality takes, topics. He really, you can tell when people approach their content with knowledge. It's always, prepared. You can tell that they come with things that they've studied. There's a lot of people out there that are just out there trying to say things. That's not what we have on this show. That's not what we believe in, which is why our next guest is somebody that I think is going to elevate the content here on the Spoken Podcast. So now that I've completely blown smoke up his ass, it's time to bring him on the show and let him smoke and cook on this very platform for the very first time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the one and only Austin Thompson.
What's up, bro?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, bro?
Are we already having technical difficulties? What is happening? We're trying to introduce a great individual on this show.
We can see you. We can't hear you.
We can see you.
Oh no, hold on.
There he is.
There we go.
Okay, we good? We good?
Yes.
We're good.
Oh, thank God. Okay, cool. Hey, first of all, appreciate you guys having me on. And I'm here to give flowers. You guys have been such an inspiration, Lance, Trev. You guys are the reason I started my show. Been a fan of the Facebook group, been a fan of the page, been a fan of the show. And so you guys are the reason that I started mine. So this is just an honor, and I'm just excited to talk with you guys and excited to talk about some Chiefs football.
Well, that means a hell of a lot to me, man. I appreciate you taking time. I know you have your own little family these days. You're probably busy as hell with all that. You have your own show to get going. And the fact you're here with us means a lot to us, dude. It's the feeling is definitely mutual. But now that we've hugged it out, we're going to talk about some really uncomfortable things here, Austin. And first of all, you know what? Let me back this up. I know you said that you started the show being inspired by this, but I know there are other factors at play, man. I know that there's times where I'll speak for myself. And back in 2010, when I first started the Spoken, the biggest reason why, obviously I had my own inspiration. Nick Wright was local, and now he's blown up. But I remember meeting him in person, And the first thing he told me when I asked for his advice was, you got to start a podcast. You got to start throwing content out there. And this is right as like social media really started to emerge and get bigger and bigger. And Twitter was coming around and things were getting more prevalent on the online side of things. And I just took off, man. I started putting things out there. But I know that you're somebody that's been a sports head for many, many years, back when you were, high school with my brothers and things like that. What are some other factors that made you just motivated to put your content out there? Because you put your face on it, you put your name on everything you're putting out there. What are some other factors at play that made you just feel like, you know what, it's time for me to get this bad boy rolling, put some skin in the game, if you will?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is just being the sports fan part. It's being a diehard sports fan, and I appreciate the kind words you're talking about. The preparation and the knowledge. It's a funny story is when I grew up, my dad always tells us I went from watching Barney to ESPN. And so I had a TV that had literally burnt ESPN in the bottom right corner. So sports has been my life, playing sports, watching sports, talking sports, always getting into, big arguments and conversations and things like with friends. And so going from having the knowledge and liking to talk about sports and then seeing kind of in the same time period, kind of seeing the transition to the media side of things where things, clips are starting to pop. That's a big thing that kind of motivated me is you'll see 20-second clips out of a 2-hour podcast and it's like, 50,000 views, 100,000 views. And so that kind of motivated me. It's like, well, I feel like I can talk about sports, and I feel like that some of these and I don't hate on anybody, but some takes are just like, man, I think my take is a little bit better. I could probably say it a little bit different, or like I disagree with that, and I'd like to put my opinion on that. So that was the motivation. Really, is just it's not about necessarily that I want to be this huge podcaster, be Nick Wright, get famous, anything like that. It's more so that I love doing it. I've especially going from when it was used to be like a recording to live. I think I got a second love for it. Live is so much more interactive and it's so much more free. I felt like when it was recording, it was kind of like, I felt I had to be perfect. And so when it's live, you get to be yourself. And so that's really where it all comes from, is just wanting to be myself, wanting to be who I truly am. And it's just a guy that loves sports.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Cause it sounds just like us. When we first started this show 7 years ago, this was the way we did it. We recorded things and we're like, it's fun. Yeah. We have fun doing it. But we don't have that interaction, with the viewing audience, the listening audience.
See us, man. Yeah. They need to see us.
They need to see these mugs too, man. That's what I'm saying, dude. We need to charge for people to see this. But I digress, man. That's awesome, dude. I love the story, and I'm for what it's worth, I'm glad you made that decision to start period and then go with the live streaming, because I agree it's a different thrill. And anybody else is out there watching this, do that. If that's something you want to do, if ESPN was burnt on the side of your TV screen, like Austin and like Trevor and us here, do it, man. I'm telling you, that's a real passion. I think you got to be born with that, man. So if anybody's like that's crazy ass like us, do it for yourself, man, and do it because you love it. But Austin, since we got you here, man, we're gonna have to ask some tough questions, because I have been of the belief that because of the season that the Chiefs just had, there's no more running it back. There's no more of this, let's just keep things the way it is. And we've heard Andy Reid at the press conferences these last couple of days about, we were so close and there was like 10 games where we were a couple plays away. That's all good and fine. But we saw true discrepancies. We saw true deficiencies on this team on both sides of the ball. Dare I say all three phases. Special teams was terrible as well. There needs to be uncomfortable change this offseason. I'm not saying Andy Reid's got to go. Not saying that. I'm not saying anything that drastic. But when it comes to personnel, when it comes to your coaching staff, when it comes to certain players or certain positions, rather, that the Chiefs have just either whiffed on completely or just have not taken it seriously, that's got to change. They have to go out and get things right where they have ignored it or let Patrick Mahomes just kind of cover the flaws. Let's start at the coaching. Let's start at the coaching side of things. Trevor and I just got done talking about the OC situation. There are some really big names out there that I think could make immediate impact in this Chiefs offense. Guys that I think would be very interested in working with Patrick Mahomes. Guys like Mike McDaniel, guys like Cliff Kingsbury, guys like Kevin Stefanski if he can't get a head coaching job. There are names out there that we know can be an absolute difference maker for this coaching staff, for this team. But I think it all comes down to Andy Reid. I think it is all determined on what he's willing to relinquish. Andy Reid, to me, has been the best head coach in the league for the last 8 years. And I know that he's been a very gifted play caller for a long time. But I think that time has passed him by, and I think it's time to let someone else run his offense, just like he lets Spags run his defense, and be the overseer / CEO type head coach, and utilize the respect and reverence that you have from your players and your coaching staff, and just be that consultant type head coach. First of all, do you agree with that? And do you think that the Chiefs could land one of these top-tier names if, in fact, Andy was allowing that type of adjustment to take place?
Yeah, so starting with the first question, yes, I do agree. So I was a big believer that I think Andy Reid didn't get as much blame this offseason, and Matt Nagy was the scapegoat. Matt Nagy, we could call it that he's going to get released or, he's moved on, but it really felt like a mutual kind of like firing, but we're going to keep it under the table so you can go get another job. It doesn't look as bad. It's like we're just parting ways. But in reality, he was the scapegoat and he got fired. I don't think he deserved that as much as not that he didn't do a bad job or anything, but Andy Reid has always said, I'm 51% owner. When it's my turn, when it's my say, I say what goes. So yeah, Matt Nagy might have got to call the plays early in the season when the Raiders, they beat the Raiders 31, whatever, nothing. But when it came time, Andy Reid was calling the offensive plays when it mattered. And so when those situations happened and the Chiefs weren't successful, to me, the blame should go on Andy Reid. It shouldn't go on Matt Nagy. So to start, I think Matt Nagy, for what he could do, I think he did an okay job, or at least better than maybe being deserved to be let go or fired or move on, whatever it is. But second point, I don't know. What I'm afraid of is I don't think the Chiefs are going to make a big splash like a lot of people think. I don't think that they're going to go get a big name like you guys mentioned. And I think that applies more to the team, and we could stick on the coaches, but I think the team as well. But don't be surprised if it's a Mike Kafka or it's an Eric Bieniemy, because they like the familiarity. And you see that when they do it with players, when they bring back Mike Pennell, when they bring back Derek Nani, they bring back these guys, McCole Hardman, they bring back familiar faces. Yes, Chiefs fans, and you hear it all over different podcasts, you hear it on national TV. You want a complete overhaul. What I'm afraid of, and I think that's the right choice. What I'm afraid of is I don't think that the Chiefs are going to do this big overhaul that everybody's pushing as much as we think. I think you might not see some players that deserve to get cut not get cut. Or you might see kind of just, I don't think it's going to be this picture perfect. We're going to flip a bunch of people and bring a bunch of guys in. I think it's going to be a little more rough and not as perfect. So don't be surprised if it is Eric Bieniemy. Don't be surprised if it is Mike Kafka. But my personal pick is Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, that's if I got to choose, and it makes total sense, guys. We're talking about the Hall of Fame quarterback getting his college coach who has chemistry. Like it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. If Patrick wants him, Cliff needs to be the offensive coordinator. And that's my opinion, but I think it makes total sense.
For 2 years now, you can ask Trevor here, I have been warning and letting Chiefs fans know that Trent McDuffie is going to get traded. And that was a very unpopular opinion when I first dropped that in 2024. It was a very unpopular opinion in 2025. And now I feel like the world has conceded with what I've been telling people for 2 years. That's going to happen. And it's not just because I think they could do it. It's because they should do it. We know that Brett Veach has been able to find the diamonds in the rough in his, not just cornerback, but defensive back room at safety and at corner. He's been able to find guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round that have become legitimate starters on Super Bowl winning teams. Now, they found Trent McDuffie in the first one. They traded up to get him because they didn't expect him to still be there at 21 when he was higher on their board. He had a low first-round grade for them, and he fell, and they had to go up and get him because they knew other teams like the Bills wanted to get him. But I've been telling Chiefs fans for a couple of years now that I think the Chiefs view cornerback as let's get the best 4 years out of their careers, because we know that that position does not age gracefully. You get your best 4 years in your mid-20s towards the right end of your 20s, and then you see the drop-off. Even more so for undersized slot corners like Trent McDuffie. And I do think that even with those factors at play, we do know that other teams that don't have quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, with the salary of Patrick Mahomes, value cornerback a little bit differently than Kansas City does, not just because of those factors, but also because they don't have a GM that can draft like Brett Veach does at that position. I think that there's a team like the Cowboys, like the Rams, that would be willing to give up, because both those teams have multiple first-round picks. I think they'd be willing to give up that second first-round pick, where right now I think the Cowboys have the 20th overall pick. That might be a little too rich, but I think it's almost a slam dunk guarantee that if the Rams and Chiefs got in the same room or had a phone conversation, they would give up the 29th overall pick to get Trent McDuffie and sign him to a long-term deal. He gets to go back to the West Coast where he's originally from. The Chiefs get that first-round pick in place. Now they have 2 first-round picks. They can double dip early and late in the first round for the first time in forever. I think this is the way to go. I think they need to have a replica or something close to the 2022 draft, which is ironic because Trent McDuffie was a part of that Tyreek Hill trade in all actuality. It could be poetic in how Trent McDuffie brings that back to the Chiefs. I say all those 9,000 words to ask you a question. Do you think that's an inevitable scenario that Trent McDuffie gets traded? Do you disagree, or do you think that the Chiefs can get that value or something a little bit less?
No, I think you have it spot on. I think I value pass rush over defensive backs. And I think it's kind of a mathematical formula if you want to look at it this way. If you can get to the quarterback, your cornerbacks don't have to be these all-pro, all-stars, because you can get to the quarterback quicker. So you don't have to defend 5 seconds, 7 seconds. You're not asking a guy to chase a guy all over the field. So when you do bring in a pass rusher, you can essentially get not lesser, but not as good. You don't need Trent McDuffie as an all-pro. Second thing is Trent McDuffie's value. I see a lot online where a lot of people are talking about they can get 2 first-round picks, like a Sauce Gardner deal. There's a completely different scenario when it comes to Trent McDuffie. One is position. He is a natural nickel corner. He is not an outside. I'm going to follow you from one side or the other to the field all day. Sauce Gardner type. 2, when Sauce Gardner was traded, he was traded after signing his second deal. So he was locked in. So it didn't matter. So when the Jets let him go to the Colts knew what they were getting. When a team like you bring up the Rams or the Cowboys, when they're going to reach out to the Chiefs and Trent McDuffie's like, I'm not signing an extension with them. Well, that value comes down because I'm not trading you a first-round pick for a 1-year rental. This team is going to have to sign Trent McDuffie to an extension for the trade to basically work, or the Chiefs are not going to, they're probably not going to make the deal. So the 2 that I like is, and I love the logic of the 2 first-round picks. I think there's 4 teams total that have 2 first-round picks. I think it's Cowboys, Jets, Dallas, and Rams. And I think it totally makes sense. Like if you see the Rams losing the NFC Championship game and they feel like they're 1 guy away, and they are historically known for F them picks. They don't, they will throw those things away. So that one, I totally agree that the Rams probably make the most sense and probably are more likely than the Cowboys. I could see the Cowboys just trying to bolster their defense. Now, if I was a Cowboys fan, I would say I don't want Trent McDuffie for what we did to him on Thanksgiving. So it's kind of like, you got to look at it that way. But either way, I think Trent McDuffie's still, an all-pro and is right around that pick 20 to 30. I think that value, and then some kind of day 2 pick, like a 3rd round or late second, and some combination of that. So I think it's inevitable. I will be honest. I'd be disappointed if the Chiefs do sign him to an extension. I think he's a great player, but you have to keep flexibility. I think if you want to continue to build your roster, continue to be this dynastic team where you have to be flexible. You have to be. I always talk about you have to be like the Patriots. The Patriots were we're going to squeeze and wring you out as much as possible, and then we're going to get rid of you before you get paid. We're not overpaying anybody. And I felt like the Chiefs were on such a great trend with that when you saw it with Tyreek Hill, and they almost let him go pretty much and got good value for him, like right before he kind of not necessarily fell, but it felt like the right time. And then they made some not so good decisions in that manner, such as, like, my opinion, Nick Bolton, some of the guys that they chose to extend, like Mike Dana, things like that. It's like you felt like they were going kind of doing the copycat method from the Patriots in the early 2000s and so on. So I'll be disappointed if Trent McDuffie does remain, just because I mean, you have guys like you could bring back Jalen Watson. You have Noah Williams, Christian Fulton. You know, he for what he didn't do in the beginning of the season, being injured, and you know, that's maybe injured. I'm not sure why he wasn't playing, but what he showed in the last 2 games, even though it wasn't crazy opponents, it was a good game against Denver, but he's probably worth it to me to be like CB3, something like that. If you do bring back Jalen Watson, put Noah Williams on the other side, he's got a lot of like L'Jarius Sneed in him, I feel like. So you could have those two on the side, and Christian Fulton could probably be a nice nickel going into next season if you upgrade the pass rush. I think there's got to be like an asterisk with it, is that you have to go sign a couple guys. Like you mentioned before, you have to go get Ruben Bain, David Bailey, somebody to pair, because again, pass rush is key to me. It's pass rush is king. The trenches win you football games, and that's just kind of what I've been raised on, and that's just, you know, that's what I believe.
Well, and since you've already, you know, the cat's out of the bag, that was going to be the next question about, you know, how do you think the Chiefs should approach the 9th overall pick? I know that you've been in lockstep. I was watching your show. I know that you went into specifics about that, and you and I have been very much in agreement. Trevor's in agreement in it. I think a lot of Chiefs fans that are looking at this from a very honest perspective are understanding the value of getting a difference maker at edge rush. You're seeing the majority, if not all the teams in the postseason right now, have difference makers at edge rush. That is not a coincidence to me. And as I've been saying a million times, back-to-back Super Bowl championships for the Chiefs, they finished second in sacks, and then it's a massive drop-off in the next 2 seasons, and it's only getting worse. So this is the perfect time for the Chiefs to do this, because they don't have to sit here and go, well, we really can't get that top edge rusher because we got the 29th overall pick, got the 31st overall pick, 32nd. That's no longer the excuse or the reality, so you can legitimately go get that guy. And I know that it might be a risk, but it was a risk to trade up 17 spots in 2017 for a quarterback everyone was calling a project at a Texas Tech. And how did that work out? So we're looking at it as a risk, yes, but it's a necessary risk, in my opinion, given what's going on with this team at the current time, with all the influx on this roster, with this defense. I mean, there's a legitimate chance that there are 7 to 9 different starters on this defense next season. Like, you could legitimately see Mike Danna get cut. Drew Tranquill might get cut because of his age and saving the team $6 million. There are 7. They may not sign Jalen Watson because he might make bank out there based on his position, his value out there in the open market. Like, they're saying he can be making up to $12 to $15 million. That might be too rich for the Chiefs. I'd welcome him back, but it would have to be a little bit less than that. So the point I'm trying to make is we're so in agreement on the defensive side, but I think there is a large growing community of Chiefs fans that are on the other side of, no, the Chiefs need to go after a running back. Jeremiah Love's always the name that everyone's bringing up. Let me first say, I got nothing but love and admiration for the talent that Jeremiah Love is. I think that dude is an absolute specimen. He's getting Bijan Robinson comparisons. I don't know if I believe that or not, but I'm watching film of this kid. He's an absolute just freak. I love watching him play. It would be malpractice if the Chiefs took him at number 9. Not just because of the fact that I think that edge rush is more important, which it clearly is just from positional value, but we know in Kansas City, you're not going to get a running back 20 to 30 touches a game. And that's the only way it justifies taking a guy that early in the draft. You look at guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, 12th overall pick in his draft. He gets the ball a lot. Bijan Robinson, top 5 pick. He should be getting the ball more than he actually does. He still gets it about 18 to 25 times a game. That is why I believe the best course of action is obviously the Chiefs have to take the running back position seriously. They need to take a guy in the 2nd to 4th, 5th round, something like probably a little early in the 4th round, say 2nd to 3rd round. But this is why you acquire picks. They have 6 right now. You trade a Trent McDuffie, you get a couple picks like you and I have agreed. You get that late 1st, maybe another 4th or a 5th. Now you have options. Now you can start taking more stabs at other positions. I think that this is also a perfect opportunity for the Chiefs to go and get a guy in free agency. There are names out there that I absolutely love of mid-20s running backs that are not going to cost a lot of money. I know that Breece Hall's the hot name, and I'd be okay with the Chiefs getting him, but his market right now is around $10 to $11 million a year. That might be a little too rich for the Chiefs, given their cap structure right now. But there's Tyler Algier, $1.8 million a year based on Spot Track. There's Kenneth Walker. I think it's about $7.5 million a year. There's Rachaad White. It's about $5 to $6 million a year. Like, there are legitimate options out there for the Chiefs to go and get. Javonte Williams, about $7.5 million a year. I think that one of those names is going to be a Chief next season. I don't know how you feel about that, I think that's the best course of action. You resign Kareem Hunt as your short distance runner for another year. Doesn't get a lot of usage, just in like break glass in case of emergency type of running back. You have Rashard Smith there, can be like that, slot running back, the guy that can catch balls out of the backfield, change your pace back. You go and sign a veteran, like I said, one of those guys, and you draft a dude in the 3rd round. What are your thoughts on that, Austin?
So with the 9th pick, and this, I'm going to use this example to try to convince any Chiefs fans that think running back should be pick 9. So you've got 2 worlds here. One where the Chiefs take, let's call it Jeremiah Love. World 2 where the Chiefs take Ruben Bain. And let's say in these perfect worlds, they both become top 10 players in their position for the first 5 years. They both progress the same way in those positions. The difference is in the Jeremiah Love world, you still as a Chief fan or the front office still has to go address the pass rush situation. And what that means is you still have to go spend $20 million, $25 million if you want to get some top edge rusher, top 10 edge rusher. Now, if you pan out Ruben Bain's world, again, to your point, you can replace running back for much cheaper. Even if you wanted to go get Breece Hall, you're spending $11 million. So the idea that of course, the logic takes that both these worlds, the player has to be a top 10 player. I understand that. But what I'm saying is you said it perfectly. The positional value is what is different. You don't get a chance to get a guy that could be a top 10 player at pick 9, like a Ruben Bain, very often for the Chiefs. It doesn't happen. So you have to, I said on my show, you have to, this is a must-have pick. You can't miss it. Like it can't miss. This guy's got to be on the Chiefs for the next 7 years. This has to be a Pro Bowler. I say all pro, like he has to be some guy that's going to make a huge factor for the Chiefs. And so that's why to me, taking a running back at 9 just seems it's real reachy. It feels like I think Jeremiah Love is probably a really good talent it's one of those situations like, yes, he could be a Bijan, he could be a Jahmyr Gibbs, and he also could be a Travis Etienne, or, he could be a Najee Harris, something like that. There's those different situations. But when it comes to running back, if he's not good year 1, so let's say they do take Jeremiah Love, and he's not good year 1, Chiefs fans are calling him a bust, and maybe the NFL fans, but he's going to be looked at as, hey, I don't know if we made a great pick at 9. If he doesn't come out and become, because if you look at the last 5 years of the top 5 running or first round running backs, there's only a handful. Like we're talking about 6 guys: Najee Harris, Travis Etienne. You mentioned Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, and then we're talking about the 2 this year, Ashton Genty and Omar and Hampton. Those 2 are to be determined. But in reality, those are the last running backs drafted in the first round. So you're basically saying you have a 50-50 shot with this guy, and you're going to put all the pressure on the world with him because you're expecting him to be one of the best running backs in the league. Now, if it's a Ruben Bain or David Bailey, you get a little more leeway with development. You may, yes, you're not expecting, you want David Bailey to be 10 sacks a year in rookie season, but you're not necessarily calling him a bust if he's not. You're going to give him a little more leeway to go to year 2 and year 3 and develop and have a chance to grow, where the pressure is going to be a lot more on Jeremiah Love when he had 500 rushing yards his rookie season. So to me, we're all in agreement. I think I'm going either Ruben Bain, David Bailey, if they're available. I actually like the pick of Peter Woods. I know some people are kind of iffy on that. I'm actually on the side of, I would take a D tackle in that situation if available. I like Peter Woods, but to me, no matter what, I think the pick has to be defense. So I've seen the safety from Ohio State mentioned. I think, Caleb Downs, I think his name is. I'm a D-line guy because I think it affects the entire defense more than I think a safety does. So, but I think no matter what, pick 9 has to be defense. And if you're not going to go defense, if you feel like you're going to take Jeremiah Love, or you want to take Sadiq to, let's say Travis Kelce announces retirement and you feel like you need to replace him, I would rather trade back and acquire some assets to take an offensive player. I think there's a lot of guys in free agency that you can bring in to replace. I think the defense, like you mentioned, Mike Dan is going to be gone. Drew Tranquil is going to be gone. Leo Chenal's probably not re-signing. Jalen Watson might not be re-signing. Bryant Cook might be gone. I mean, like you said, it's going to be 7 to 9 guys from the defensive side of the ball that's gone. So it's got to be defense, in my opinion, at pick 9, or you trade back and acquire more assets because you've only got 6 picks anyway, even before a Trent McDuffie trade.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up about the skill positions on the offensive side, because I do think an underrated position of value for the Chiefs in this draft is going to be wide receiver. I know that Jalen Rolls has some promise, but he's a mid-round pick. Didn't really make any impact at all this season. He got his first catch in week 18 in a game that didn't matter, but he does have promise. I like what I see from the kid from a skill perspective. Like I think he's got real NFL talent. We'll see what he ends up becoming. And there's some, accusations out there about Rashee Rice, and I'm not going to put you on the spot about that because we're obviously still very much in the development stage of what is and what isn't in this conversation. That's a conversation for another time, but there is a question about it, about whether he'll be on this team or not next season. And he's already had his health issues. He's had his off-field issues. And there is the really, in my opinion, inevitability of Travis Kelce's retirement. I want to get your thoughts on whether you think he's going to retire or not, but my bigger question in all this is, how important do you think the wide receiver position is in this draft? Because I think, just for what it's worth, I do think in my scenario, if the Chiefs do trade Trent McDuffie, get multiple picks, I think they could utilize a pick in 2027 to move back into like the 4th or 5th round. Like they like to do those types of moves, given the fact they don't have a 6th or 7th round pick right now. I think wide receiver is going to be a position that the Chiefs will take in the mid rounds. And I also think they need to finally spend real money at wide receiver, regardless of what happens with Rashee Rice. They need to go and spend real money at wide receiver for the first time since Sammy Watkins. Like, that's crazy to think about. Like, it's been 7 years, 7 whole seasons since the Chiefs have spent real money. I know they gave Tyreek that little extension, I think it was in 2019, but I'm talking about going and getting a guy. In my opinion, I think the guy the Chiefs need to go out, and Trevor's probably sick of hearing this by now, it's Alec Pierce. I know he's going to cost $20 million a year, but if you look at the market, there are 24 receivers right now that are making at least $24 million, or making $20 million a year. At least $20 million a year. Like, that's the market. And with the down slope of wide receiver free agents this year, his market's going up. Because it's like him, Romeo Doubs, old Keenan Allen. Like, there's not a lot of guys. I think it's like Rashid Shaheed. There's not a lot of, like, boom dudes. Like, there isn't a Devontae Adams sitting out there this year. There's not a bunch of, like, go-get-it guys. Alec Pierce is perfect for this offense because he has the size. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. But he is literally probably right now the best field spreader in the NFL. Field stretcher, I should say. He averaged 21 yards per reception this season. Like, that is insane, especially when you consider the inept quarterback play he's had since he's been with the Colts. Like, it's no question on my mind. This guy would fit this offense and be an absolute impact player in this offense immediately. Only 25 years old. It makes so much sense to go and invest real money in a guy like that would fit this offense and give you what you need at the wide receiver position. So, again, just to recap here, because I know I speak a lot. Do you believe Travis Kelce retires? How much do you think the wide receiver position is? How much does it matter in the draft? And do you think they need to go and spend real money at the wide receiver position of free agency?
So let's start with Travis Kelce. I know he came out on New Heights and kind of gave like a, it felt like he was leaning a little bit more to the I'm coming back feel. I think this is what I thought when it kind of got closer. If you look at Jason Kelce's, the way he left, they went to the Super Bowl, lost, and he's like, I want to try it one more time. And, lost early in the playoffs and, rode off into the sunset. And I'm sure that Jason probably regrets, because it wasn't into the promised land. He may have a little bit like, man, I kind of wasted a year. Like, I should have just called it. And I think Travis looks up to Jason enough to probably take some advice from that. So as much as he's come out and said, he wants to, if his body's good and all that, I think that we'll see it March 1st or, some random weekend in March, you'll get the announcement that he's going to call it. And if he decides to come back, I hope that he deserves the chance to come back for sure. I want to make that clear, but I hope if he does come back, that he keeps in mind the salary cap point of it, that he doesn't, he takes a team friendly deal because he knows, and he would say this team is got to move on with him and they have to make room, especially with how bound they are with the cap coming into 2026. So if he does come back, he would have to. I mean, it would have to be some crazy cheap deal for me, at least in my opinion, or like a huge signing bonus with low salary cap point. But in my opinion, I think Travis is gonna ride off in the sunset. Take the not repeat the same thing that his brother did, which is like, I got one more year in me, and I think he's gonna call it and just be settled with that. What he's done is be basically the greatest tight end ever, and I think he's okay with where he's at. Second point, receiver. So it hasn't been on my mind until the recent news, that I felt maybe the Chiefs needed to go make a big splash, because I always felt that upgrading running back would help in a lot of ways of maybe hiding some of the wide receiver issues. And you were going to get another year of Rashee Rice, another year of Xavier Worthy, and then maybe, a few guys that you bring back into the receiver room. I love the Alec Pierre, idea. But I think if the Rashee Rice news turns into something, that you're going to scramble to make, I think, even a bigger move. I mean, at that point, your receiver room is depleted. So you may see, let's say in a month or so that something does happen. You may see that pick 9 turn into a receiver. You might be taking a receiver because you might see them go sign a receiver at that point. So, I mean, it depends on the news, I think. And again, we're all speculating at this point. But if I was moving forward saying that they had to make a move like that, I like the idea. But I looked at that free agency list, and it's deplenishing a little bit. It's not like there's a bunch of top tier guys that you can go out there and get. So it's a great point that the receiver room is going to be just as bad as it was last year, essentially. I like the guy, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but Bernard from Alabama in the second round. Yeah. I like that guy. I think he's like he's a big body, go get it kind of a receiver. I'm not like a huge draft guy. I know every prospect, but I like him. And that's something that I would do maybe, is exploring options in the second, third, or fourth round and trying to bring in another receiver. And you may just see the Chiefs run out of a young receiver core next season. And you may just see a Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Royals, and maybe they bring back Tyquan Thornton, or I wouldn't even mind a Hollywood Brown on another 1-year deal or something like that. And then whoever they draft, you might see that, especially if Travis Kelce comes back. I think if Travis Kelce comes back, you probably don't invest in the receiver room for a year, because you have to rebuild the running back room. You have to look forward to the tight end room. You're rebuilding a defense. There's only so much money you can go around. There's only so many guys you can pay. So to me, it all depends on the news, but I would change my pick at 9 if the news did happen and one of those receivers, top 2 receivers, fell, Tate or the guy from Arizona State, whatever it is.
Tyson.
And he's a Tyson. Yeah. Tate or Tyson, if they're there, I would probably take them, just because you have nothing at that point. You're putting out a guy that had a disappointing season. I know he's injured, and Xavier Worthy as your wide receiver 1. So it's like, I mean, that's what I would do is it would change everything. And again, it's, the situation is very unfortunate. But if I were the Chiefs, I would operate that the situation is, you might have to think that if the situation is something, and they obviously know more than the public does, you're probably going to have to operate that way anyway.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's something else that, Austin, that I'm hearing a lot from Chiefs fans when I get to talking about the draft. And our buddies at Chief Concerns had a former Chiefs offensive lineman, Tim Grunhard, on their show this week, and they were talking about the offensive line a lot. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, the Chiefs should probably consider going to offensive line in the draft. And I'm personally baffled by this. Because for one, we've seen how much the Chiefs have heavily invested in this offensive line in both the draft and in contracts over the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, even further than that, when they did draft Creed Humphrey in the mid-50s, when they went and got Trey Smith, obviously was a 6th-round pick, but that guy had a first, second-round grade, so we all knew this dude was a starter in this league. They signed Juwan Taylor. They go and get Kingsley Suamataia with the 66 overall pick or whatever it was. What I'm saying is, I'm confused by this idea that the Chiefs need to upgrade an offensive line, because I don't really see where. You just got Josh Simmons in the first round this last year. You know that he's going to be your starting left tackle, barring some other unforeseen off-field issue. He's obviously going to recover from his fracture in his wrist. Kingsley Suamataia was very solid at left guard. I don't remember a single time this season where I sat there and was like, damn, the team really misses Joe Thuney. And that's not a knock on Joe Thuney, because I think he's the best left guard of his generation. But my point is that Kingsley was solid enough that you never felt like there was like this horrific hole at left guard with Joe Thuney now gone. Creed Humphrey is the single best center in the NFL. He's making money now. Trey Smith is a really damn good right guard, and he's making real money now. Juwan Taylor's going to be gone. He's going to save the Chiefs $20 million in cap space, but the Chiefs just spent real money on Jalen Moore, who I'm assuming is going to be their starting right tackle next season. And 𝚂𝙾𝙸𝙸 is going to be a nice swing tackle. What I'm basically saying here, Austin, is I feel like the offensive line's pretty damn good. I just think that they had really bad luck with injuries this year. Josh Simmons being gone for a month. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. But going into 2026, if I was putting out a list of the things I'm overly concerned about, or my concern power rankings, outside of quarterback, that might be the least I'm concerned about when it comes from a position group. Do you agree with me on this?
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think, first of all, shout out Kingsley Suamataia. I mean, he was probably one of the only bright spots for the 2025-2026 season. I mean, that, like you said, you didn't hear much about anything as far as anything bad or, critiquing that much. He grew in such a, he took the responsibility of that left guard spot after, having a disappointing rookie season trying to be left tackle, and he ran with it. And, the Chiefs really got lucky, and it really hit. So shout out to Kingsley. I think, he's going to be the starting left guard for the next 5 years plus, if not more. And, maybe he gets a second contract. So, but as far as the offensive line, I think that they've made the investments from the previous years, like you mentioned. So it would be, if they were going to add anything, it would be, in my opinion, a late pick for just depth, and maybe a veteran, if I don't know anybody off the top of my head, but just a veteran guy at left tackle to back up Josh Simmons for whatever reason, if there was an injury or something like that, so you can keep the ground running. 𝚂𝙾𝙸𝙸 did great, and I think he could be a nice swing tackle. I just don't think it would hurt to have a cheap veteran guy who's, 7 to 10 years in the league that's available. And like I said, he could be your third tackle. That's fine. But that's all I would do. I'm not going to go sign some top tier right tackle. I think you go with Jalen Moore, who you've invested in. You see what happens with him at right tackle. And then you just kind of have to address on the fly, because you're right. They've invested. That's probably one of between the draft capital and the salaries that they've paid. I mean, that's one of the bigger positions that they've really invested in. I love Trey Smith, but it's almost like I don't regret signing Trey Smith, but it's almost like one of those situations where you saw what happened with Kingsley, a rookie that stepped in and took right over for Joe Thuney. It's like, man, you could have gone and maybe done the same thing for a right guard, because at least to me, positional value, tackles are more important than guards. So it's like,
absolutely,
I get that. I get that Trey Smith is an all pro, and he deserved to get paid for sure. But it's kind of like, I think the Chiefs are going to have to start making not only good decisions on positional value, but also just who you pay and who you don't. And so I would think it would be silly to, at least this offseason, go in and invest a bunch of money or try to get a big name at right tackle. I would just, with what you got, and see what happens. You're coming off an injury from Mahomes on an ACL, LCL. You're investing in the running back room, hoping that your run game gets better. So you might not be even passing, that much. And you have your left tackle for the future. Mahomes can deal with, I think, a worse right tackle. It's not his blind side. It's not as important as the left tackle. So I would rock with what you got. Jalen Moore is my starter for 2026, and then we'll see what happens after that.
A couple more questions here for you, Austin. And it goes without saying, man, we really do appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, man. It means a lot, and you've given us some really good insight and content here, man. And I know that the people are appreciating it as they're watching and listening to this at any time that they do. But the Chiefs are making a big move in about 5 years. They are going to be moving to the Kansas side. I know that you're a fellow Kansan like us over here.
Let's go.
And it's I've been telling our viewing audience, I've been telling everybody on my platforms that I never once thought this would be a reality. And I was totally okay with that, because Arrowhead was where I went my whole life. And if they stayed there for the rest of my life, I would have been going there happy as ever. I never would have thought anything different. I'd have been okay if they stayed there forever. But this was a move that did make a lot of sense in my eyes. The area that they're at, the Truman Sports Complex, the Raytown/Independence area, had 50 plus years to build anything and anything around those stadiums, and they did nothing. And I know that the proposals were bunk. Let's be real. They were bullshit. I mean, I understand why Jackson County didn't like them, but we knew what was going to come with that. And we heard Mark Donovan say it at several press conferences that this area is not very marketable. It's not great for us to build on. In fact, we won't. And then Clark Hunt came out and said, if this is voted down, we're going to be exercising our options. And now we, a year and a half later, 2 years later, here we are. It's now been official. In 2031, the Chiefs will be moving to Kansas. Now, I get it. People don't love the idea that Arrowhead's going to be gone. But in my opinion, Austin, I think this is actually a great thing. Because for one, the Chiefs are going to be able to build Chiefsville, the Midwest Mecca. I think that's what this is going to be. Not just for the football side of things, but from a business side of things for both obviously the Hunt family, because they're in to make money. You're not billionaires on accident. But it's also going to be great for the city because it's going to give you year-round events. We know one thing about Arrowhead. When it's nice and warm outside, they'll do all the events. But the moment it gets cold, ain't nobody going to go out there. That's why the Chiefs don't get Super Bowls, because nobody's going to be hanging out in Kansas City on February when it's 9 degrees outside. That's not going to happen. This will bring a Super Bowl. They'll have the Final Four here. You have the practice facility that's going to be in Olathe, where all the high school championship games can be played, and they do events there as well. It's going to be an absolute moneymaker, man. I know there's going to be questions about taxation and all that stuff. We'll get to all that stuff when the time comes. But the biggest thing for me, from a football side of things, is this, to me, could potentially extend Patrick Mahomes' career. And what do I mean by that? We know that this is going to be a dome stadium. And if you look at the majority of the quarterbacks that played good and great long into their careers, the majority of them either played in dome stadiums or warm climate areas. Well, Kansas City is never going to be a warm climate area, so we might as well go with the other option and get a damn dome. Patrick Mahomes is going to be around 36 years old when this stadium is finished. I fully anticipate that he's going to still be playing football and playing football at a high level for the Kansas City Chiefs at that time. For me, if you look at the comparison points, you look at Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, go down the list of guys that are playing in their late 30s, early 40s. They played in dome stadiums. Peyton Manning played the majority of his career in Indianapolis. That's the kind of, I don't think there's any coincidence here that is the case, that you see these guys play so well at 38, 39, 40 and beyond because they played in those types of environments. I think that's the way you extend Patrick Mahomes' career. So from a business side and from a football side, I think this is a great thing for the Chiefs as a whole and Chiefs fans as a whole. I know a lot aren't ready for it yet, but I think when the time comes, then they make those memories with their kids. I mean, I know you have a kiddo. The thought of you being able to go to New Arrowhead and take your kid there for the first time, and when they're adults, they can say, my dad took me to that. Like, that is something that we don't get to say at Arrowhead right now. That, I was, we went to those games that the first game at Arrowhead, the New Arrowhead, we can't say that because we weren't around. Now we get to do that. And Clark gets to build his legacy. His father built his at Arrowhead. He gets to build his now. Like, I just think from every point of view, it's great. What are your overall thoughts on this move, man?
Well, to touch on your point about Patrick Mahomes, that gives him 11 indoor games a season after the Chiefs make that move. I mean, that's insane to think about. That you're getting Mahomes the ability to play 11 games, 8 at home with Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos, who are all getting new stadiums or have new stadiums and are going to be indoors. So that's a plus to your point, Lance. So as a born and raised Wyandotte Countyan who has grown up in this area my entire life, I am ecstatic over the roof for the decision the Chiefs made. I think for the city itself, you're going to see a KCMO 2.0 and development's going to go crazy. And I love the idea of the Chiefsville and building the shops and things around it. I think that they've came out and said multiple times that they're going to keep the tailgating aspect of it. And, they're not going to get rid of the traditions. I think that you're going to see that they're going to honor a lot of the things that have made Chiefs Kingdom. And they're not going to just do this just to build a stadium that they want. They're going to take the time to actually honor, whether it's specific parking for, a fan. I feel like they're going to do things like, specific fans that have been in this area for 70 years. The family's been there. They're going to find ways to honor Chiefs fans. I really, truly think that they're going to do that. So that being said, I think that the point of Mahomes is, yes, it extends his career. Now, do I think Mahomes will be the same and whatnot? And do I think Mahomes would even want to play till he's 40? It's up in the air. But overall, I think it's a great point that, yes, you're going to get these situations where he's going to get rejuvenated anyway because it's a new stadium. I mean, you're looking at a point where when you get to 36, you get a brand new toy, and it does extend you in another few years. So that point's great. But the stadium's awesome. I think it's a great thing. I know that people are really bugged about the tax situation and how all the money moves and how all the money works and who's paying for it and yada, yada, yada. That is not my lane, and I'm not going to enter that. I don't know that stuff. All I know is that the Chiefs are going to build an amazing stadium, and they're going to get a Super Bowl within the next probably 10 to 12 years. They're going to have concerts year-round. You're going to see basically what I imagine they're going to do what the Raiders did. The Raiders last year, I believe, used their stadium 365 days a year. Last year, they used it every single day for something. And you'll see the same thing with what I believe is going to be called Arrowhead West, but will name to be determined. But I think it's a catchy name. I don't know. You guys let me know, but I think Arrowhead West is it's catchy. But I think you'll see the Chiefs use, like you said, they're going to have concerts, events, Super Bowls, things like that. You'll get all of that stuff, and they'll do the same thing 365 days a year. It'll be just an awesome event space and an awesome area, and things will just follow it. People will follow it. Things will follow it, and it'll just rejuvenate even more Chiefs fans in different ways. Like you said, you'll get new traditions, and I feel for the people that had those traditions and had those. My dad took me to this game, when I was 5 years old. Those situations, I feel for those people. I really do. But it is a business, and you have to see that there's a bigger picture to business than some people's feelings. And so it is unfortunate. And again, I do feel for those people, but to me, I'm super excited. It's an awesome experience coming from this area, being born and raised.
Could not have said it better myself, man.
Hell yeah, baby.
Now, Austin, before we get you out of here, man, we have to go through a series of things here, man, because as we know, tomorrow, the NFL playoffs officially start. Now, I don't know your picks. I have no idea who you're picking in the wild card round, divisional round, conference championship games, and sure as hell I don't know the Super Bowl picks. So I want to go through these games real quick. Just get your quick answer on who you got in these games, and then at the end of the wild card round, I want to get your Super Bowl pick and Super Bowl winner. So let's start with the Rams-Panthers. Who you got in the game, man?
Rams by 100.
Hey, that's not a promise, man. The Panthers only got them once.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not. I just
I'm slamming the 10.5 on the Rams.
Yep.
They're going to get revenge. They're getting Carolina revenge, baby.
There's a reason why that game's at the noon time slot.
Yeah, because everybody knows that's going to be a cheek beating, dude. Now, this next one's an interesting one. I'm leaning heavily to the home team myself. We'll get to that in a second with Trevor and I, but Packers-Bears. The Bears have never led for a single second in either game. It was the walk-off win. Remember the game with was that number 2? I can't believe DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, DJ Moore. Yeah. So they've never technically led in a single second of those games, but they did win that last one. They are the 2 seed. In my opinion, they're the better team at home. Crappy weather, better run game. Jordan Love hasn't played in about a month. There's a lot of funky stuff going on. Micah Parsons has been out, and their defense has been ass since he's been gone. They've given up literally almost 200 rushing yards a game since he's been gone. I'm not trying to convince anybody here.
The Bears are a good rushing offense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who do you got in this one, Austin?
I'm with the Bears. I mean, the Bears, I think I think they're playing really well, and I just love what Ben Johnson's done. He's turned the team around, and I like seeing the Bears be successful. Just a non-biased opinion. I like seeing them be successful.
Yeah, it's good for the NFL.
Let's get to the Sunday games because these are the heavy hitters. We're starting out with a bang here, man. The noon game is the Jaguars hosting the Buffalo Bills. Austin, who you got in this one?
I think Buffalo takes it. I think Jacksonville had a great season. They've had a great run. As much as I don't want to pick the Bills, I think that Josh Allen plays well in the first round of the playoffs. I think I think the Bills win this game.
Nice. Okay. Now we go to the NFC side. Eagles are hosting the 49ers. This is a weird matchup because the Eagles offense sucks. It shouldn't suck because they're talented across the board, but they have been bad for long stretches, especially in the second half. Jalen Hurts doesn't complete passes for a long stretch of time, but they are the better team. The Niners are banged up. Shanahan has horrible when he's trailing after halftime. I think he's won like one game in his career. I'm not even kidding. It's terrible. Like, Kyle Shanahan has my respect, but it's a weird thing with him. Like, he just does not get out of his element sometimes. Like, he doesn't ever adjust. It's a weird thing. I am worried about this one for the Niners, but I think they do have a fighter's chance because this is a team that does not give up. Who do you got in this one?
I like the Niners, and I just don't want to pick the Eagles. That's the only reason why.
Fair enough. That's fair,
Hey,
man.
nothing wrong with a little bit of bias.
Nothing wrong with a little bias.
That's a vengeance pick.
It would be glorious to see Nick Sirianni just, lisping his way out of the stadium because he's so pissed at his team for failing him, even though I think he's one of the most overrated coaches I've ever seen, but I digress. Okay.
Absolutely.
This one hits home. Chargers back in the playoffs for a second straight year. They're going to New England. Drake May, MVP candidate, having an incredible season. They've had a very easy schedule. In fact, it's the easiest in like 2.5 decades. But the Chargers are banged up on the road. Justin Herbert has been very fraudulent in the postseason in his career to this point. Who do you got?
Give me Mike Vrabel. Give me Drake May. Give me the Patriots. I think they can handle it at home. If this was reversed and it was an away game, I might think differently. But give me the Patriots.
Got it. Okay. Love it. And then we have Monday Night Football. It's so weird. Like, maybe I'm tripping here, but I don't remember a lot of Monday Night Football playoff games. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't feel very natural for some reason. But it is a very, I feel like this game could get real ugly on one side or the other. Texans visiting the Steelers. Come on. I have strong opinions on this game, Austin. I can't reveal it yet. This is your time. I'm not going to take it from you. Who do you got?
I think I think the Texans. I'm picking Texans, and that's just because I think they've had a hot defense all year. Aaron Rodgers, he unlocked some vintage, last Sunday, but other than that, I don't know. I don't see how a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers could go in and beat a defense like that, at least. So I'm taking the Texans.
Fair enough, man. Okay, so now that we've gotten through the wild card round, I got to kind of skip some chapters here because we got to get you on record here, bro. I know this might spoil things on your show. I apologize, but I have to at least ask. If you want to plead the fifth, go ahead. Get your lawyer in, and we can make this thing official. All that. Who is your Super Bowl matchup, and who wins?
Give me Rams, and I do think Buffalo gets there. Ooh. And I think Matt Stafford walks off into the sunset and gets it done.
I love it.
2-time Super Bowl, locks in his Hall of Fame career and calls it a career and becomes a locked-in Hall of Famer.
See, this is why I like
the
Austin.
Bills lose another Super Bowl.
He gets it. He gets it. Why is it so hard for people to admit and acknowledge and accept the fact
he's that man.
that Matt Stafford is a Hall of Fame quarterback? I have never understood Austin.
MVP of the league too.
I mean, he went through so many struggle years with a horrible team, and he was still putting up numbers. And then you look what you give him, just give him some competency of a coach and players, and he's awesome. No, he's what I want Mahomes to turn into when Mahomes is 36 or 37.
Yes. Yeah. Jesus, yes, dude. This is what I've been telling people. Like, Patrick is so great at being nimble and, creating with his feet and all that stuff. And I hope that continues to a certain degree because you want those plays, especially in the playoffs. But look at Matt Stafford. Look at the way, Aaron Rodgers has transitioned his career. The only reason he's playing in his 40s is he's learned to play within the pocket and trust his offensive line. I'm 100% lockstep with you. I have to throw this out here because I'm an absolute dork. 6th all-time in passing yards, 7th all-time in passing touchdowns, 6th all-time in passing yards per game, higher completion percentage than Joe Montana, 4th all-time in fourth quarter comebacks, 5th all-time in game-winning drives. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and probably he's going to win MVP this year, that is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Am I wrong here? Like,
no argument.
I will say, Lance, I have not been on the Matt Stafford Hall of Fame as much. Now, this season, especially the way he's played, I think it's, he's on that, I wouldn't be mad if he was and if he wasn't. I think a Super Bowl locks him in, and absolutely. But I will say I was, when the conversation started about is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer, it was a conversation, it was
sure.
I did have to think about it. So, but I think absolutely if he gets it done, he's going to, his last, years of his career, I think are easily going to get him in the Hall of Fame. He has played at such a high level for so long. And all of those stats you read off are just absolutely do read, that is a Hall of Famer. But it is kind of, it's to me, it was still a conversation at one point.
I always tell people if Troy Aikman can make the Hall of Fame.
I was just
For real. I'm sorry. I mean,
gonna
Troy's
piss all
really
the
good.
Cowboy fans
Yes.
off.
Troy played his part, and he's a hell of a color
Bro.
commentator. But, gee, dude, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Like, Troy Green had better stats
swap
than
the
that man.
players. Swap the players, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
Like,
Cowboys team.
Joe Namath made the Hall of Fame. That man had more interceptions than touchdowns.
No
Like,
disrespect, but yeah.
but come on. I mean, Joe was cool. He was handsome. He had the mink coat.
Swag, yeah.
But let's be real. He wasn't Matt Stafford. Let's calm
Right.
the sauce down here
Come
for
on,
a second. But nevertheless, Austin, this has been freaking awesome, dude. Before we get you out of here, dude, let the people know where they can find you on all your platforms, YouTube, all that stuff, what days, what times, all that, man. Let the people know why they need to be following you, how they can follow you. Give them all that, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me on. You guys can follow me at SITG Show, Skin in the Game, and we go live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. And you can find that on YouTube, Facebook, and X or Twitter as well.
I also saw that the wife was in the comments on our YouTube channel, so shout out to the wifey.
Shout out,
Appreciate her
wifey.
support as well. We appreciate the fact she's let us kind of borrow you just for a little bit of time, man. We appreciate that. Hopefully this doesn't get you in trouble because we've been running about an hour now with you, but it just flew by, dude. I mean, if she wants
No,
to
it's
get mad
just
at
great,
somebody,
great conversation.
throw it my way.
No, she's totally
been-
supportive. She's totally fine.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate her. I appreciate you. And please, everybody, go give my dude a follow. Austin's one of the best out there. I know the show's new. That doesn't change the fact that he puts out quality content. Obviously, we brought him on this show. You guys know that we take it very seriously to give you guys great guests, but I don't even consider Austin a guest. I've known this dude for many years. I have a ton of respect for him. Very knowledgeable dude. I don't want to speak about him like he's not here, but I got to say it this way. So that's the way it goes. But Austin, dude, I really mean this. Thank you so much for taking the time. Please keep kicking ass, dude. You're doing great work. Like I said, I catch myself checking out your show whenever I got time to do it, dude. And I always catch myself learning something, dude. So you're motivating us here. You're inspiring us here as well, dude. So I really do mean it when I say it's a reciprocal thing here, dude. We do feed off of the energy and what you put out there as well. That's how it should be. We have the same ideas, same concept of why we do what we do, and I only hope that you keep this ball rolling, man, because this community needs more good shows out there, more honest shows out there, guys that give out opinions, doesn't just follow what everyone else is saying. It is a very valuable thing that you have, man, and so keep that thing going. We would love to have you back, and if you ever need anything from us, dude, we're here for you.
I appreciate it, guys. And like I said, you guys deserve all the flowers. This has been just an awesome experience, and can't wait to come back, and I can't wait to have you guys on as well. So
Absolutely,
I appreciate
man.
it. And yeah, it was a great time.
Absolutely, dude. Whenever you want us on the show, you hit us up. We'll make it work, dude. And we'll definitely have you back on
Awesome.
the show, especially this offseason, because we're going to have to give these people something to talk about, dude, because it's going to be a fun, wild-ass offseason.
Longer
dude.
than normal. A longer off season than normal, for sure.
Yeah, we might need it, but it's okay. I mean, I believe this team's going to get back, and we're going to be here to talk about it, dude. So, again, follow our guy, Austin Thompson, Skin in the Game. Great show, great content. Austin, you have yourself a great weekend, brother. Enjoy your family, enjoy football, and we'll talk soon, all right, man?
Hey, appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.
All right, that's our guy, Austin Thompson, man. One of the best out there, dude. Like I said, I know he's new to this whole thing, but he's not new to this at the same time. This is a very knowledgeable guy. I've known Austin for a long time. And, yeah, definitely a guy you want to follow. Definitely a guy you want to give your time to. He's a great dude, man.
Yeah, that was good stuff, man.
Absolutely. Very knowledgeable guy, man. He's not one of those guys like me where I'm just out here screaming all the time. He's somebody that's calm, cool, and collected that gives out a very sound opinion, and that's what we're here for, man. So shout out to him, shout out to his family. We will have him back. Trevor, before we get to the people and speak it, I wanted to get to something else real quick because I do. Well, obviously we need to get to our predictions, but I just wanted to put this out here real quick because I know people are asking, and I had people in person ask me about everything that has to do with the Rashee Rice. Everyone is being very careful about that, and that's the way it should be. Because in all actuality, we don't have the facts of what is actually taking place.
It's all speculation.
It's all speculation.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to put out there first and foremost. What I will say is this, and I the only thing definitive that I'm going to say to make my point clear, where I stand on it, and Trevor can obviously, if he wants to, briefly speak on it as well, because again, we don't have the facts yet. We just have accusations, and we're going to let it play out. But I'm going to make it abundantly clear. If, in fact, this did take place the way it's been accused, I don't want Rashee Rice on this team. For the very simple fact that now we're talking about a guy that has cost this team multiple times. And I know that you're going to sit here and say it's not just about football. Guys, I'm 100% lockstep with you on that. But let's be real here for a second. Football does matter in this instance. And in this situation. And if Rashee Rice did what the accuser is accusing him of, I don't want him on this team. I don't want somebody like this reflect or representing my football team. Now that might sound like an elitist take or anything like that, because people say, oh, you've defended Kareem Hunt coming back. Guys, there's context to all of this. Kareem Hunt had to change a lot of things in his life. Made a better man out of himself and had a redemptive story, and I love that story for Kareem Hunt. But if this is something that Rashee Rice does within a year's time of almost killing people on that Fort Worth, Texas highway,
yep,
getting suspended like he did, costing this team, in my opinion, that really set the Chiefs season off in a horrific motion. I think it played a large factor in this team playing the way they did this season because he was tilted as their number one receiver. They didn't have him for the first month and a half. That played a factor. If he costs this team again and embarrasses this franchise again, and this time to a even more extreme level, it is without question in my mind the Chiefs' time to sever ties with Rashee Rice, because you guys know in my wish list I said I want the Chiefs to extend him.
Yeah,
I've said that. So obviously I believe in Rashee Rice. I am a big fan of Rashee Rice. But if the person can do something like this, and again, let's remember what I'm saying. If that is the story, if it is true that this happened, that's the only thing I'm going to say. I do not want, and I don't think, for the record, I don't think he would be on this team if this comes out to be true. So we're going to let this all play out.
It's probably bigger than just the Chiefs. We're talking the entire NFL.
Yes.
You mess the Shield's image, man, like, especially if this becomes a concrete situation where he has clearly done these things. He's probably never going to have a job again in the NFL.
Right.
This is a big deal, right? So this isn't some one-off thing. This is now a multiple offender, possibly, who also had another strange incident with that paparazzi guy. So this is a guy who's starting to build a rep, man, and it's exhausting.
It is, dude.
As a Chiefs fan, honestly, I'm starting to get really exhausted with just off the field stuff. And I know it's not just the Chiefs. You got even the Stephon Diggs stuff going on. You got two Patriots players. One on the defense, one on the offense. So there's several. I mean, this has been a common thing in the NFL. These are aggressive men. These guys, they kind of have one speed. They're great athletes, but a lot of times this kind of comes with the nature. It's an unfortunate fact that we've dealt with, especially in the NFL, probably more than any other sport. Just violence on and off the field, and some guys don't want to turn it off. And I really hope, I hope it's not true, but then again, it's bad one way or the other, because if it's not true, then this woman is trying to ruin this man's life. That's also a negative, and it is true. Probably never going to have Rashee Rice again on a football field, and that's really sad because I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's a budding, possibly big star in this league. I think in this offense, and I think he's been could be a pivotal part moving forward with the future of this team, and that's really unfortunate. These are major claims. You know, this is not small stuff. This is big. This is a big deal.
Life-changing claims.
I know it's very vague right now for the most part. I know accusations have been made, and I'm sure the law is going to do what it does, and there's going to be things figured out. But when the truth comes to light, and he's at fault, he's done, man.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like, especially if he's dishonest with the Chiefs, we know how that goes.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt got booted with the quickness just for a simple lie, and then this is far worse than that. Also being a repeat offender. So I'm just exhausted with this, man. Truly, that's how I feel. I just feel exhausted with all of this nonsense. Like, it's always something. Especially in the offseason. Like, we always have, I want to go to an offseason, especially this offseason, have some hope.
Just have some normalcy.
Yeah. Everything else is like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, dude.
What else we got? Anything else?
Right.
Hit me again. I could put some stank on it, right? Like, Jesus Christ, bro. It's always something. But,
yeah. Like I said, I felt that it was the right thing for us to just put that out there. We're not going to sit here and speculate on it. We're not doing that. I will give credit to where credit's due. A lot of the shows in the Kansas City community have been done a really good job with this. Because to Trevor's point, we're pretty damn well versed in all this of how to handle these things now. Some of us have been victims of taking sides too quickly. I remember back in the Tyreek Hill situation, we were all sitting here just demonizing him, and we found out, some of that might not have been the truth, and we found out and all that stuff. So there's learning lessons in all this. And these are things that, impact a lot of people out there. A lot of people have dealt with domestic violence. And then again, we don't want to accuse Rashid of anything. I really genuinely, if I can be candid here, I hope it's not true.
Yeah.
Not just from a football perspective, but for life. Yeah. And for just life.
And for him as a human being,
I don't want to believe. I don't want to believe that he would be capable of doing something like that. That'd be terrible, man.
Again, this happens. Men just sometimes don't know how to control themselves, impulse issues, and you're a big, strong, burly guy, and things get out of hand.
Yeah.
It can be a life-altering decision. I really hope this isn't the case, man, but here we are. And we're going to continue this bad boy because we have, like I said, playoff football to discuss. Yes, the Chiefs are not involved, and yes, that does suck, but we still have to talk about it because these games will be played. Some good games, man. I'm excited to watch these games.
Yeah, there's some very interesting matchups. I know Austin gave us some really good thoughts and opinions on that. It's time for Trevor and I to give you guys ours. So let's start with this Rams-Panthers game. Trevor, how do you see this one going, man?
So Rams. I think we kind of all agree here. You said you were hammering the over on the spread there. I think this is clearly a Rams win.
Yeah.
I do. Listen, I'm proud of the Panthers, man.
Yeah.
Truly. Like, I know the Bucs just absolutely collapsed this year. They had a lot of injuries, dealt with a lot of things. Baker was playing like 70%, bro. If we're all being honest, like the last several weeks, Baker was hurt.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing well.
Yeah.
He was in his own head. Didn't have his number one guy, Mike Evans. Ibuka came onto the scene hot. That kind of fizzled out a little bit. He didn't really end up being that guy for the second half of the year. Got a little hurt too himself, but just things. I think that team's had some things to change and figure out. So they ended up losing that division to the Panthers. But like I said, I like Canales. I think he's a smart coach. I'm not a Bryce Young guy by any means. I love Tedder McMillan. Rico Dowdle was a nice little story this season, going from being a free agent to being one of the leading rushers in the league this year, which is really cool. Solid defense, but when it comes to this matchup, I just think you're not going to beat the Rams twice,
right?
Especially in the playoffs. I think the Rams might be as healthy as they've been all year. They've been resting.
They got Lake back. They got Devontae Adams back.
Devontae's rested the last couple games, so he's going to be fresh.
Yep.
I think this Rams team's the best team in football right now, in my personal opinion. I know they've had some ups and downs. They had some games where it was like, obviously they lost to the Carolina Panthers earlier this year. They've had some head-scratching losses. But top to bottom, I just think this is the best roster in football. Best coach left in the game, in my opinion. I mean, him and Shanahan are the two best coaches left in the playoffs, in my opinion. So I think it's clearly Rams. So I'd say at least by 10 points.
Yep. I will give some respect to the Panthers here because they did win five of their 8 games this season at home. This will be at Carolina, and yes, they did beat this Rams team just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Almost a couple months ago, actually. I think that game, though, told me more about the Rams than the Panthers in that regard because Trevor's right. The Rams were dealing with a series of injuries at that time to key players on both sides of the ball. And I think that, honestly, the Rams I think they overlooked the Panthers. I don't think they took that game as seriously. Yeah, Stafford played like shit. That was like only one of his 2 bad games this whole season. I think if you ran that game back, which they're going to this weekend, I think the Rams would clobber them. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen in this game because the Panthers have lost 3 of their last 4. They've lost 4 of their last 6. there's nothing scary about this Panthers team. They're good in some places. Like, they have a good defensive line.
Yeah, the defense is
Yeah.
pretty good.
They have good skill position guys, in my opinion. I think they have good, overall skill position guys at running back and wide receiver. But Trevor, you know I've been consistent. I do not believe in Bryce Young.
Yeah, me
I think this Rams defense is going to pummel him in this game. I don't think this game's close at any point. I think the Rams are going to just completely outclass and outmatch the Panthers. I have the Rams winning this game. I don't know if you have scores or not. I have the Rams beating the Panthers 28-13.
Yeah, I don't have a score, but I think this will be. I think the Rams are going to want to come out to a really hot start and make this game light work and prepare for whoever's next.
Yeah,
but then again, it's win or go home, so they're taking this game very seriously, but. This feels like a shellacking waiting to happen, in my opinion. If any of these matchups, this one in particular.
And then we have the NFC North matchup between the Bears and the Packers. Now, this is one of the more interesting matchups of this wild card weekend.
I love that this is a playoff matchup.
Yes,
man.
it's great.
I love this vintage rivalry.
Yes.
I love it, man.
Like, when was the last time we had a Bears-Packers matchup in the postseason?
Yep.
It's got to have been forever ago. I mean, we have to look that up. But Austin said something correct. That I think the league's better when you have teams like the Bears being good.
Yeah.
And with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson in the playoffs
These
already,
two fan bases,
totally, like, they're so ahead of schedule.
So
they're the
much bad
2
blood.
seed, dude.
Yeah.
Like, who the hell thought the Bears were going to be the 2 seed?
It's crazy.
I said they were a year away. I had them at 7-10 this year. I thought they were a year away. I believed in Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, but I still thought they're going to need a year to develop and build each other.
They kept eking out wins. I kept calling them frauds all year, but
Man.
I can't call them frauds anymore, man.
Now, the
I just can't.
Packers, to their credit, for the majority of this season, probably were the better team in most regards. I think their coach is obviously well established. Jordan Love's a fine quarterback.
Yeah.
Getting the Micah Parsons trade, I know that set you over the moon. But then they lost Tucker Kraft. And they've had more injuries at wide receiver. And then Josh Jacobs got banged up. And then Micah Parsons blows his knee out. And it's just like, okay, eventually the hits have to start counting. And as well as these two teams know each other, in my opinion, these two teams are just going in opposite directions. And with the Bears having home field, knowing it's going to be crappy weather, knowing that the Bears can run the ball with the best of them, knowing the Packers defense sucks against the run, knowing that Jordan Love has been off on the shelf for a month, Josh Jacobs still banged up, there's Christian Watson's always hurt, no Tucker Kraft. Dude, in my opinion, this is the game. This is the Bears' game to lose. I think that the Bears. I don't think this is gonna be a high-scoring game by any means, because, like I said, these teams know each other so well. But I think the Bears' rush attack is gonna really shorten this game, and they're gonna control the tempo. The fact that Caleb Williams never turns the ball over. Ben Johnson's one of the most brilliant offensive minds in the league. Definitely a Coach of the Year candidate. I think this is the Bears' game to lose. Like I said, I think they're gonna win by a full touchdown. I have the Bears winning this game 23-16. What do you say, Trevor?
I'm going Packers here. Listen. I just think this is, for me, I could very easily go Bears. This has got to be a prove it moment for Caleb Williams, right? This is his first shot into the postseason. Ben Johnson's first chance as a postseason head coach. I'm taking the side that Caleb shits his pants in this game.
Wow.
I know they don't need to depend on him too much because they do have a really good running game with, Swift and Monangai. I like that duo. They've been good all year. And I do really like Ben Johnson, but I like LaFleur a little better. I like Jordan Love a little better in this matchup. That Bears defense is very beatable. I know the Packers defense is very beatable. I just trust the execution and the structure of the Packers and LaFleur to move the ball and just do just enough to get this win. I know the Packers defense has been struggling and it hasn't been great, but they've had moments where they've been really good too.
Sure.
And it's been a minute. I get that. But I think they're about as they've been getting healthier. Jordan Love, like you said, coming off the shelf. He's been sitting. I get that. And a quarterback coming off of sitting a couple games and then going into a playoff game is always kind of a concern. But then again, so is a guy who's crumbled in big moments before, and Caleb Williams. And this is his biggest moment of his career, in his football career. Collegiate, all the above. So I don't know, man. I got a vibe. I'm going Packers here. I know they're on the road. I know this is the 2 seed versus the 7 seed. But this is a great rivalry. Both these teams know each other very well. Like you said earlier in the show, the Bears never really led in this matchup, right? They had that walk-off win. That was a fun game. Crazy ending. I'm just taking the experience and the leadership of LaFleur here to go figure out a way to win this game.
All right, here we go, man. So now we're going to move to the Sunday slates. First game on the docket, of course, I think might be the I don't know if it's even a question. It's going to be the most polarizing game of the playoffs because we know how much pressure and expectation is on the shoulders of the Bills, and in particular, Josh Allen. You and I have had a lot of conversations about this matchup, or just the Bills in general going into the postseason before we even knew who they were going to face. But we knew they were going to be on the road. We knew they were going to be a wild card team. I want to get your thoughts on this game first, Trevor.
Okay.
Because I think that you're going to come at this probably more level-headed than I am. So I'm going to let you give the people more of a balanced thought and opinion on this, and I'm going to go full tilt. So go ahead, man.
I'm taking the best quarterback left in the postseason. That's not Patrick Mahomes, and this is his best opportunity to do so, and I think he's going to seize the moment. I love the Jags. The Jags have been an awesome story this year. I think they have a really bright future. I think they're going to be actually a really good team moving forward. I think there's the leadership of this team, the direction they're going. Trevor Lawrence looks alive. He's using his legs more. He looks far more confident than he's ever been. He has some consistency. This Jags team, I think, is going to be really good for several years moving forward. But I think the Bills are this is their moment. They have to win this game, and I think they do. Josh Allen is amazing, dude. He's amazing. His numbers in the postseason always go up. The guy knows how to just take games over. Love him or hate him. Other than Patrick Mahomes, this is a guy that's very tough to put away. Even if the Jags go out to a lead, no lead is safe against Josh Allen. Shit, we've even had our experiences with Josh Allen, and in regular season games where we've had some leads or we've had some tight ones, and he's walked off on us. If he can do it to us, he can do it to the Jags, man. And I know this roster's not great. The defense is super suspect of the Bills, but I just. At this point, I'm trusting Josh Allen to go do what he does and just be an absolute dog, be an absolute menace. And if they can get their running game going, I think that benefits them even more. But I think the Jags have way more ways to win this game. But I'm just going to trust the better quarterback and still the better head coach at this point. I still got to give him that edge just for the experience. McDermott facing, having absolute dogfights against the Chiefs. That experience is going to come into play. When you don't have to face Mahomes, and you're looking at, no offense, but you're looking at Trevor Lawrence instead of Mahomes in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
I think they'll figure out a way, man. Great offensive line, great running game, great running game, and Josh Allen at the helm. I'm blindly just taking the Bills here to figure out a way to win this game, bro.
All right. So Trevor gave you the level-headed take. And I'm
kind of biased, honestly. This is, for me, it's like Josh Allen better fucking win this game. That's where I'm at. You better win this game, bro. You better win this game.
I hope you guys are ready for chaos on Sunday.
Let's go. I want them to lose,
because
it is what it is.
This is going to be Sean McDermott's last game as the Bills head coach.
Fucking love it, dude.
The Buffalo Bills are 0-5 in games this season where they scored 20 points or less. They faced 5 top 10 scoring defenses this season. They went 2-3 in those games and averaged 23 points per game. James Cook led the league in rushing, as we all know. He had 9 100-yard rushing games. Only one of those games came in a loss. Cook also rushed for 12 touchdowns this season. 11 of those came in wins. In other words, unless Cook cooks, the Bills don't win. Guess who comes into the postseason with the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Meanwhile, the Bills have the 12th ranked scoring defense, which is good. But they've allowed the 5th most rushing yards this season. The Jaguars have the 11th ranked rusher in Travis Etienne, and Trevor Lawrence is in the top 10 amongst all quarterbacks in rushing yards this year, which is wild to think about.
He's been awesome, man.
Trevor Lawrence has led the number 1 offense in the NFL for the last 8 weeks. They are literally number 1 in almost every statistical category for 2 straight months. The Jaguars are absolutely terrifying, dude. Like, I always look at, when I look at postseason matchups, I always look at who is the hot team coming in.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously Josh Allen is clearly the best quarterback. Well, I'd say Stafford and him are pretty. Josh Allen's the most talented, best overall quarterback in the postseason. I don't even know if that's debatable. Yeah. Matt Stafford, though, production-wise, Drake May production-wise, they're up there, obviously. But I would agree with Trevor. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the postseason. But that Josh Allen playing great hasn't always resulted in wins, though, for the Bills. Because as we know, it has always been their defense that plays like shit in the postseason. And that has been on Sean McDermott. That has been on their players. Every single postseason, when they play another awesome quarterback, they get dealt. That is why, if you look at the wins they've had in the postseason in Josh Allen's career, it has always been inferior, bad, inexperienced quarterbacks. That doesn't define Trevor Lawrence in my eyes. I think Trevor Lawrence with Liam Cohen has truly turned that corner. He has played much better football, especially at the back end of this season. And I think they continue to roll with that, especially with the balanced attack with Travis Etienne and that juggernaut defense they have on the other side. I look at this matchup and I say, unless James Cook breaks the mold against this unbelievably elite rushing defense, I don't see any realistic scenario the Bills can win this game because, again, they're going to have to score over 20 points, and it's on the road. And in Josh Allen's career, they've never won a road game in the postseason. I don't see any realistic scenario that this game is even close, Trevor. I think the Jaguars win this game by 2 touchdowns. I am picking the Jaguars to win this game 31-17, and it has nothing to do with Josh Allen. I don't think he's going to have a bad game, but I don't think it matters even if he has an awesome game because, again, it's going to come down to who is the team that can control the time of possession and which defense can get the other offense off the field. I have no faith in that Bills defense whatsoever. I don't think they're going to be able to do a damn thing to slow down that Jaguars offense. So I think the Jaguars are going to pummel the Bills in this game, and Sean McDermott is going to get fired this offseason, and it's going to really open up things for the candidates out there for coaching hires, because if and when the Bills job comes available, that is automatically the number 1 job out there.
Oh, yeah, man.
So John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski, Mike McDaniel, guys like that are going to be at the top of that list. That's going to
waiting around.
That's going to reset the market, dude. You know what I mean? I mean, think about this. How about this for a wild card? What if the Bills brought back Brian Daboll as their head coach? Because he's the one that saved Josh Allen's career as their OC.
Yeah, familiarity's there.
Wouldn't that be wild, dude?
Trust. Yeah.
That'd be wild. Just something to think about. So I'm not trying to get too far into the weeds. What I'm trying to say right now in this moment is I think I am more confident in the Jaguars winning this game than any team outside of the Rams beating the Panthers. Straight up. I think that I am hammering the Jaguars to win this game and win this game comfortably. And again, it's not any disrespect toward Josh Allen. It is simply a matchup. Like, what is this team what are the strengths of the Bills? What are the strengths of the Jaguars? How does it mesh? Jaguars outside of quarterback, in my opinion, are better at almost anything. I would say probably the Bills have a better offensive line. James Cook's probably the better, obviously, than Travis Etienne. But I'm saying with the collective of rush attack that the Jaguars can put on the field, I think that can neutralize what Jags, James Cook brings to the table.
The Jags got all their weapons, man.
Right.
They got Parker. They got, their tight end. I can't remember his name for some reason right now. But,
Brenton Strange.
Yeah, Brenton Strange. They got all their guys, man.
Yeah.
And since they got Jacoby Myers, he's been awesome for them.
Right.
They haven't lost a game, I think, since he's been there.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, aren't they like an 8-game winning streak?
That's what I'm saying. Since Jacoby got there.
Dude, they're and we're not even talking about Brian Thomas Jr. having a letdown year, but what if he pops in the postseason? What if Brian Thomas Jr. starts going off?
The Jags should win this game. Yeah. Josh Allen better win this game.
Yeah, that's well said. Couldn't agree more. Eagles 49ers. Okay, so this is a game that I was really back and forth on, Trevor. I want to get, obviously, your take on this, but this is a very intriguing matchup for a lot of reasons, man. I'm going to be interested to hear what you think.
I don't trust the Eagles, man. I just don't. And as banged up and as absolutely just dead in the water at times they've looked on defense, the Niners. Salah's got those guys humming, man. They've been playing as good as you possibly can with the names on those jerseys out there, and it's insane the loss that they've endured, and they've still been able to. It's crazy because I don't know which I don't trust. My trust issues reside with is it the Eagles' offense or is it, the Niners' offense too? Because we can see them going and throwing the Niners going and throwing like 5 picks because we've had those games, right? We can also see him throwing 5 touchdowns.
Right.
So it's just one of those games where I'm not sure who's going to show up and what offense is actually going to show out. And I think Saquon's kind of dust at this point, man, in my opinion. I think he's really kind of fallen off this year. He has not looked himself at all, and he hasn't really been hurt.
Yeah.
So it's weird what's going on with him. I think he kind of blew his load last year, for being honest.
100%.
And it all paid off. I mean, they won the Super Bowl. He's a champ. He's got a ring now. So, I'm going Niners here, man. I had to roll with the team I think is just better at this point. I think they're just better. I know they're the 6th seed, and Phillies. Seeds don't really matter to me at this point. I think matchups makes fights, and I trust Shanahan. more than I do Sirianni. I trust Purdy more than I do. That sounds weird saying that.
Yeah.
Because of who Jalen Hurts has been in the postseason. He's been awesome in the postseason. And he's balled out in both Super Bowl he's been in. But Purdy's been putting up some damn good numbers in the postseason too, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just trust that offense. If I'm going to trust an offense that put up enough points to beat whoever on either side, I'm trusting the Niners to put up enough points to win the game. And I'm going with it, man. I'm going with the Niners. I'm trusting McCaffrey to do his thing. It's a tough Eagles defense. I get it. They're going to get after Purdy. As long as Purdy doesn't shit down his leg and throw several picks, because we've seen him do that. Ball security on either side. If both teams take care of the ball, I'm going to take the Niners to win this one, man.
Like I said, this has been one I've been back and forth on all week long because
probably the toughest one to honestly.
Yeah, because I really can see it going either way.
Yeah.
Because I'm not impressed by either one of these teams.
Yeah.
And then the Niners have more of a defense because they are depleted. All their star players outside of Kittle are out.
The fact that they had a chance.
I guess Lenore's a star too.
The fact that they had a chance for the 1 seed still at the end of the year was wild, man.
But
that's just kudos to that leadership.
But that's also the problem I have is as much of a fan as I am of Kyle Shanahan, and I think he deserves all the praise for getting this team to still win as many games as they have. There is something I do worry about with him when it comes to these types of situations because we know one thing about the Eagles. Right.
Tough.
We know one thing about this Eagles teams. One, they have a very tough defense. They have a very good defense.
Defensive front's nasty, man.
And Vic Fangio's given them a lot of trouble, dude. Kyle Shanahan has struggled against Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
But also the fact that the Eagles have had really bad offensive performances like we talked about, and they've still pulled out victories against good teams.
Yeah.
So I was super pissed off about them losing that game against the Commanders against a third-string quarterback because they lost me money.
Yeah.
But like you said, coming into this game, healthier team, more successful team, quite frankly. I know the Niners have been to multiple Supers, so they have. They've actually won one against the Chiefs. And there's something about Jalen Hurts in the postseason. He turns into a fucking unbelievable quarterback.
Yeah.
There's something, and I'm expecting him to come out and play good football. I think that the Eagles, although Saquon Barkley has not had a great season to his own standard, he still had 1,100 yards rushing and 7 rushing touchdowns. That's still a good season. I think they're going to open him up in this game. I think that Saquon's going to actually have a massive game.
Okay.
I think that Saquon rushes for over 130 yards in this one. And the problem we're also seeing is that McCaffrey has been so utilized this season that I think he's actually going to be the running back that slows down in this one. I think that the Eagles are going to have a hell of a game plan, and they're going to neutralize Christian McCaffrey. And I'm not saying they're going to keep him like 60 yards. I still think McCaffrey has like 90 total yards, maybe even a touchdown.
6 catches.
But yeah, he's not going to have one of those typical 130, 140 total yards, 2 touchdown type games that McCaffrey's been having all season. I think he's going to be worn down a little bit, man, because he has been carrying this offense. Because Brock Purdy missed like 6, 7 games. George Kittle missed 8 games. I mean, this whole offense has been in and out. Trent Williams has been in and out of the lineup. Like, to me, I think it eventually catches up to you. I think being on the road in a super hostile environment with a pissed off Eagles team after just losing an embarrassing game to the Commanders that would have gotten them the 2 seed, I think this is the Eagles, their best game of the season starts right now. And I think they ended up winning this game by a field goal because I think the Niners will give them all that they got. But with the injuries, with the lack of trust I have in Brock Purdy, I think that the Eagles win this home game by a close margin, 23-20. That's how I see it going, man. I just think the Eagles are the better overall team at home. And we know, like I said, Jalen Hurts gets up for these games. I don't like the feeling of picking this because, like I said, I don't like this Eagles team. You remember in our prediction show, I said they're going to be 10-7, and they're just going to probably go one and done. Well, I'm changing that. I think they win one playoff game. And beat the 49ers in this one. 2 more games in this one, and we'll get to you guys, and I apologize for the show going so long, but, we had a guest. We had to get this things going, man. Patriots-Chargers, Trevor. I know this one's big to you, man, because before anybody else, we're saying high praises, singing high praises of the Patriots.
I'm gay for May, yes.
Well, for other reasons, too, I'm sure. But
Hell
the point I'm trying to make is, I think if anybody has an opinion we need to listen to about the Patriots, it's probably you. So I'm going to almost go with whatever you're saying in this one. I have a feeling where you're going to go with this, but I don't know yet because we haven't talked about this. Where are you stand on this matchup?
Yeah, I love this matchup. I think this is a big moment. Honestly, for anybody's moment, I think this is the biggest moment for Herbert, man. Like, what did we remember happened last time to Herbert in the playoffs, man, when he had that 20-plus point lead against Trevor Lawrence and he choked it away?
Yeah.
And I mean, going into the half, they were up 20+ points against the Jags, and the Jags came back and won that game. So he really has to. I mean, I know he's been banged up. I know this whole team is banged up, and for God's sake, that offensive line never can stay healthy for whatever reason. I mean, they have some young offensive weapons. This matchup, man, just for me, as much as I love Jim Harbaugh and as much respect to the talent that I have for Herbert, I'm taking the Patriots in this game, man. I just think this team has juice. I know they had the easier schedule for sure. I think they're healthier. I think their defense is better. And Drake May has had a phenomenal season. Schedule or not, the guy has it. He knows how when the game is on the line, he doesn't flinch, man.
Yeah.
There's something about the kid. He's very, very poised. Never looks rattled.
Yeah.
Ever. It's honestly wild. Similar to even like, Jaden Daniels. I feel like the same way about him. Granted, his style is different. He runs a little more recklessly. Drake May knows when to run at the right times.
Yeah.
Right. And he's dominant when he does it. It's very Josh Allen-esque. He doesn't even take as many hits as Josh Allen does. But the guy is a great thrower of the ball. The guy has a good connection with Stephon Diggs, and they spread the ball around really well. They use 2 different tight ends. I love Vrabel, man. Like I think these guys are playing really, really hard for him. I think this roster is just better top to bottom. Outside of Herbert just being the better quarterback still to this point, but I think Drake May has arrived in this league, and I think if Stafford didn't put up the numbers he did, slightly a little bit better, threw a little more touchdowns, I think Drake May is clearly the MVP of this league. With the record they got, winning the division over the reigning MVP of the league. I'm so proud of the kid, man. I'm so proud of what this team did this year. So I'm picking the Patriots. I mean, they're at home. It's a tough place to go play. Justin Herbert on the road with the banged up team. That defense, I know they played fairly well. I just don't trust that defense. I don't trust that defense to go and shut down Drake May and make Drake May's day tough. I think he's going to go take this game. I trust the leadership of this Patriots team right now. I trust Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. I trust Vrabel's leadership. I like the Patriots defense. They've had some down weeks where they've given up some points. They've kind of laid down.
Yeah.
Their special teams is fantastic. I just think they're the better team top to bottom outside of quarterback. Drake May is working his way up there, but I still give Herbert the edge there. But Herbert still has a lot to prove, and I just don't think this is the year. I still don't think he's right health-wise. And I think this is Drake May's game to go win, and I think the Patriots win this one, man.
I'm really glad we're talking about the quarterback position in particular in this one, because obviously this game is going to be decided, in my opinion, by how the quarterbacks play.
Yeah.
But I think both these quarterbacks are coming into this game with a lot weighing on it. I know Drake May's still really young, and Justin Herbert's only like 26, 27 years old. But if Justin Herbert not only loses this game and plays bad again, I think this is a career definer.
This could be a shootout game, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it could be for sure.
If Drake May loses it, I feel like he might get that overrated type of tag early in his career, whether that's a fair or unfair. But you know what people would say? If the Chargers come in there with a banged up team like that and win in New England in the wild card round,
especially if it's convincing.
after the season they just had, they're going to go, well, look at that. Drake May capitalized on a real easy schedule in his first playoff game, loses at home to a banged up Chargers team against Justin Herbert, who's been a choke artist in the postseason. That's going to be a tag on him for a long time. That's going to add a lot of pressure on him to finally win big in the postseason moving forward when the schedule gets tougher.
On top of that,
year.
with this postseason, with Mahomes being out of the picture,
yeah,
you know what I mean. That you don't know. None of these other guys, none of Mahomes' peers, have to worry about him.
Capitalize on this, yeah.
If you go and lose to a second-year quarterback,
yeah.
Bro,
right, yeah,
like,
that's
you know what I mean. Like,
a lot is weighing on both.
Be damned.
I know that these guys still have a long runway for both their careers, but like I said, these kind of things stick with you.
I mean, outside of Amarian Hampton being questionable, which I assume he's going to play.
Yeah, he's questionable.
He's questionable going into this game, and he's still not fully healthy, but he's looked good.
Yeah,
the last couple weeks of him playing. So he's got his entire repertoire of guys.
And we know that you can't run on this Patriots defense.
You
can run on this Patriots defense.
Yeah. When you could throw it outside of Gonzalez, he locks his side down typically.
I'm sorry, they can run. I said run. Did I say run or
no?
throw?
No, you said run. But yeah. I said you could throw on them too. They've had their moments where they've gotten thrown on, and Herbert is a guy that can definitely do that.
Yeah.
So, and he's got all his receivers. You know, everybody's healthy. You know, he's got Gatson too at tight end, who's been a little no-show the last couple weeks, but that's a guy that can rip you up too. So. This is not going to be an easy win. This is going to be a battle. I think both these quarterbacks, honestly, legacy-wise, more of it's on the pressure is definitely on Herbert here for his legacy because Drake May is just kind of getting going.
Yeah.
But it would suck for Drake May to have that great of a year like he did this year and then fizzle out and go out this early in the postseason. But I just think the Patriots are the better team, man, and I'm just rolling with them. I think they're hot. I think Vrabel is a hell of a coach. I think he's got these guys playing and extremely good football and just playing for him really, really hard, and that matters a lot when it comes to these kind of games. And I think they're the better defense, and I think they do the little things better than the Chargers. The Chargers screw up a lot of dumb things. They have a lot of dumb penalties. A lot of goobers on that defensive line, if I'm being honest. Guys like Dart and, or Tart. Is it Tart? Yeah, Tart.
Yeah, Tart.
Guys like that, they have dumb penalties, roughing penalties, stupid things they do sometimes. I trust this Patriots team to go out there and get it done, bro.
This is because there's a lot of really good head coaches in the postseason, as there always are. But this is the best head coach matchup as well, in my opinion.
Think so?
Yes, I think Jim Harbaugh is a top 5 head coach. I think Mike Vrabel's right up there as well.
Yeah.
This matchup, to me, I agree with you. I think there's a real chance that I'm going to be really specific with this one for a second. The way I see this game going, I do expect it to be high scoring.
Yeah.
In fact, I think there's a chance the Patriots and the Chargers have the highest scoring game of the wild card round. I actually, in a weird way, think that this game doesn't start off the best for the Patriots. I actually think there's like something funky that happens where like the Chargers like get a fumble recovery. Something weird, you know what I mean? Like where it's not expected, not in the game plan, obviously, like it was an X's and O's thing that went wrong. It was just a simple mistake. And you feel like that tension kind of start like, oh shit. Like we're a young and experienced team. You're going to start hearing the commentators talking about, well, you look at the schedule, like, and you're going to start hearing that. And I think the Chargers have an early lead in this game. And then it swings. I think that you're going to see something where the Patriots, where Drake May makes a big throw, like a 3rd and 10, and he gets like pressure's coming, and he makes a big throw, and it sets the crowd ablaze.
Kayshon Boutte, 35-yard catch.
Something big, and then all of a sudden you feel that like tension rise, and then it falls back on Herbert. And I think this is where the game falls in the Patriots' hands because I do not. If you ask me right now, which quarterback do you trust in this matchup? And as crazy as it sounds, because Drake May has never proven himself.
Yeah.
But because I know what Herbert has been in the postseason, I'm going to trust Drake May more in this matchup. Because like you just said, there's a certain level of some guys just have that thing about them.
Yeah, man.
And I know that Drake May's got it. I know he does. There's something about this kid that just is different than a lot of the other quarterbacks. And I think Herbert is just as talented as Drake May. In fact, he might even be more talented.
Yeah.
But it's not about talent in these moments. It's about what is upstairs. What do you have up here? And I very much question whether Herbert has that about him. Well, I have to see it.
And do the guys really believe in Herbert? Because he's let his team down, in big moments before, and he's made dumb plays, dumb decisions in big games, big moments down the stretch on even regular season games, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Drake May, man, I think these guys all are all in on him.
And I like, not that Jim Harbaugh isn't going to have this team ready. He will, without question. That dude is just a cerebral monster. But I think there's something about Vrabel's approach that's going to get this team that is so inexperienced in the playoffs outside of like Stephon Diggs that is going to be, they're not going to feel like this game's big to them. It's not going to feel like it's all fast because to their defense, they're not playing a Chargers team that has all this playoff success.
Right.
Like if this is the Chiefs coming into New England,
they still have to prove themselves.
I think there would be a certain level of like, fuck, dude, like we better be on our P's and Q's. This game, like I said, I think the only tension is going to happen because of my prediction that this game starts off a little funky for the Patriots. But I think what's going to happen is the game goes on, you're going to start to see that tilt back into the favor of the Patriots. And I think Justin Herbert on a big play throws an interception, has a really bad interception or like a strip sack fumble, something like that gets the Patriots back on the top. And then out of desperation, when the Chargers score late in the game, they're going to try to go for 2 to get the game within like 2 to 3 points, and they're going to miss out on the 2-point conversion. I have the Patriots winning this game 30-26.
Yeah,
that's what I
just
think.
To put a ribbon or a bow on this, like I just feel like this Chargers team just happened to be in the playoffs. I just don't feel like they're a team that like they really earned this spot, and like they're like the team that like is the least interesting team in the entire postseason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like there's no real like juice behind them. There's nothing like, I don't know. Maybe that's a blind spot for me. Maybe that's
they're not great at one thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't feel like they're a team that like, ooh, look out for the Chargers in the postseason. They earn that spot. It's like, but everyone knows. I mean, schedule be damned. Everyone knows who Drake May has bursted onto the scene this year, and Vrabel is arguably coach of the year.
Yeah.
And this defense is good. The special teams is good. Several kick return touchdowns this year. That's still a threat every single week. So I don't know. I just buy into the hype of the Patriots, and there's like no hype behind the Chargers.
Right.
But that could also be a kind of a trap thing too. So I think I think the Chargers have way more to prove here. I think Herbert has way more to prove here, and that could be good juice for him to go out there and edge out this win. But I'm taking the kid, man. I think this team's hot. I think this team's really good, and I'm taking them in this first round.
And then we have the final game, the Monday Night Football game. The Steelers are hosting the Texans. Texans coming to this game on a 9-game winning streak. 3 of those games were with their backup quarterback in Davis Mills. And the Steelers found a way to win their division in the final week of the season. Obviously hosting a playoff game now.
Yeah.
Trev, I know this game means a lot to you, man, because, obviously you're a big Rodgers fan. You've been a very big defender of Mike Tomlin as well. How do you see this game going, man?
Yeah, I remember saying that the Steelers were going to make the playoffs this year because Rodgers was the X factor, and I'm correct.
Yeah.
And honestly, it should have came down to that last game and it being that much of a nail biter. They should have solidified the playoff spot before that game had been taking place because DK Metcalf's an idiot. They wouldn't have been in that position, in my personal opinion. I think the Baltimore Ravens would have already been out because I think they would have won that game against the Browns if they had DK Metcalf. That's where I stand. So I'm actually more confident in this team than some people may be because I don't think they just squeaked into the postseason. I think they won this division outright, in my opinion. They obviously did, but I think they won it. They would have won it more convincingly if they had their star receiver, especially not having a deep wide receiver room as it is. And you're taking DK Metcalf out of it for 3 straight weeks. I like the Steelers in this game. I'm a Rodgers guy. I know there's some bias there. I get it. Something about playoffs in Pittsburgh and then C.J. Stroud having to go to Pittsburgh and win a game. And I think C.J. Stroud's going to be bad in this game. And I know that defense, we could talk about the opposite. You like you say, the best unit in football is probably that defense of the Texans. And you are 100% correct, which is why this game doesn't need to be 20-24. I don't even know if it gets there. I think this game could be a 10-17, a 10-14, 10-13 kind of game with a walk-off field goal. Who, gets the final edge or who has the ball last. If Roger has the ball last, I think he goes and finds a way to get a field goal to win the game, and I think that's what happens. I just like Pittsburgh in the postseason, man, and Stroud has yet to really prove it to me that he can be that dude. If that game's on the line, he needs to be that. He may not have to be because that defense could absolutely just go get a strip sack, score a touchdown, pick 6, score a touchdown, and I can look like an absolute fool right now. I just think there's something about this Steelers team. I think they're a bunch of old heads out there. I get it. TJ Watt played well, and I think he's going to play even better this week. I think he's going to be all over Stroud. And I know where everyone's talking about the Texans defense going in this matchup, but I think the Steelers defense is going to be the story of this game. I think they're going to be the one that scores a defensive touchdown. I think they're going to be the one that shuts down the Texans offense. I think C.J. Stroud is going to be terrible in this game, and I think the Steelers are going to go out there and dominate defensively in their home field. And that raucous crowd is going to be roaring for Aaron Rodgers. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to seize this moment. I think he's going to do just enough. I don't think he's going to be great. I'm trusting the Steelers to go handle business because I don't believe in Stroud yet. I know that Texans defense can absolutely make me look like an idiot right now. And I think they're going to be really good too. I don't think they're going to be bad. It's not like Aaron Rodgers is going to go light them up. But I think there's going to be some plays from this Steelers defense that's going to take this game. And that's where I stand. I think this is going to be a defensive showdown as it should be. But I think Stroud makes a couple mistakes here, costs the Texans a game, and both defenses are going to play well. Obviously I expect the Texans defense to do what they do. Aaron Rodgers is not going to go ball out here. I don't expect that at all. But I think the edge of this game, the X factor of this entire game, which decides who wins this one, is the defense, and I'm taking the Steelers defense in this one more than the Texans defense.
I would agree that even in his advanced age, the Steelers have the quarterback advantage in Rodgers because I do have my worries and concerns about C.J. Stroud. We saw him, blow up on the scene as soon as he came into the league, having one of the better rookie seasons we've ever seen a quarterback have, and everybody just assumed that he was going to continue to ascend into this superstar quarterback. Even myself, I was starting to buy into it, but we haven't seen that, and not even close. In fact, he's significantly regressed where he just it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like he picks up on the game speed like of the NFL. It looks like sometimes the game's a little too fast for him.
Their offensive line is bad,
and that's also a part of it. I think that there's some PTSD that's kind of playing in.
One of the best edge rushers of all time coming at you.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and like I said, I definitely could see that playing a factor for the Steelers, where C.J. Stroud plays horrible, and then Rodgers sems to have like just 2 or 3 plays.
Yep.
That separates the two games,
vintage,
and
one or two vintage Rodgers plays.
But then I also remember a much better version of Aaron Rodgers much younger version of Aaron Rodgers in the postseason and how he has had dramatic letdowns. Case in point, the last time he played in the playoffs was 3 seasons ago when he was still with the Packers. A home game, in fact, against the San Francisco 49ers and put up 10 points. And you go back a little bit further than that, 2021. They beat the Rams in a home game 32-18 and then lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-26. You're like, well, that's a good run. They had 2 games. Go back before that, though, winning a home game 28-23 against the Seahawks in 2020. The MVP season, obviously, for Raj. And then lose to the Niners 37-20. What the consistency in all this is, though, is when Rodgers was still playing at MVP level, you always felt like there was just meat left on the bone. Man, this Packers team had home playoff games, and how do they keep losing these games? And I don't think it's all on Rodgers. Clearly not. But like I said, the lasting impression is still there that his legacy as a Packers quarterback ends on a 13-10 loss at home to a Niners team they should have beaten, in my opinion. Yeah. Very, very disappointing stuff. And now I fast forward to this time, much older, still an effective quarterback. By no means is he a bad quarterback at all. He's still a starting caliber quarterback in this league. You can't name me 20, 25 quarterbacks better than Rodgers right now.
Really good this year, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I stand by what I said when I talk about what this Texans team is. 9-game winning streak. In my opinion, I don't even know if it's an opinion. I think they have the best singular unit in the NFL on their defense.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
And defense travels, especially in the postseason. And I look at this matchup, and I'm trying to find the advantages for the Steelers. And outside of being at home, and like I said, an older quarterback still, giving the advantage over C.J. Stroud, that's respect to Rodgers, and quite frankly, an indictment on Stroud being a 24-year-old that should be excelling. I see all signs pointing to the Texans in this one. Because of the fact that, like you said, Trevor, DK Metcalf being the idiot that he is, all factual. And I don't, even there's been large portions of the season where he didn't play very well, and I'm a DK guy. I've defended him.
I'm not even the biggest DK guy, but he matters massively in this game.
But can we have an honest conversation about the Steelers team for a second? They made the playoffs because their division's the worst in the AFC.
Yeah.
Their division is terrible.
But they've been a good team this year.
They've been a good team, but yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I think if they played in almost any other division in the AFC, I don't think they made the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like I don't see they made the playoffs simply because they won their division. Their record did not get them to the postseason. It wasn't like they're this 12-5 team.
Something about that division though, those games are always tough. There's always like no matter how bad the Browns are they'll beat the best team in the division in a year.
Sure, but I'm saying like the Chargers had a better record than they did. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of teams in the AFC had better records than they did. They made the playoffs simply because they won their division. And I'm not trying to take that away from Rodgers because he is an X factor. You nailed it.
Yeah.
He came to Pittsburgh. They made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, you got to give him that credit.
But I mean, I believe they would have been like an 11-win team if, DK didn't miss the last 3 games.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't think they lose that Browns game. I think they seem a little bit more confident going into the postseason. It's a little more easy to buy in. But this like I said, this matchup in particular, man, I think it's gonna. I'm not like saying this. I'm not picking this game because of Rodgers. I obviously want him to win. This is the team I'm rooting for the hardest in the postseason, just because I'm a big Rodgers guy. But I think it's because I think the Steelers defense is going to make some big plays, as they just did against a far superior quarterback in Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
they made him make some bonehead plays. Granted, he had some big plays on him too, as Lamar does, keeping plays alive. But dude, they were on his ass. You think they're on Lamar's ass? They're going to be on C.J. Stroud's ass, bro, and I think he's going to make some boneheaded plays, and I think there's going to be some turnovers in this one. I think whoever hits the most field goals wins it.
Yeah, I think that, yes, I can see this game going in that direction. But like I said, when I'm looking at the best unit on the field, and quite frankly, dude, I'm being real with you, I actually think the Texans have the coaching advantage in this game. And I love Mike Tomlin. Dude, it has been a decade since he's won a playoff game. Raheem Morris has won 2 in the last 3 years. Like, this is the thing I'm trying to say. Like, not Raheem Morris. God, I cannot. Thank you. We were just talking about Raheem Morris. That's why I was. D'Amico Ryans, to me, is the better coach right now. With C.J. Stroud has won multiple playoff games. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is, and look, you always look at what the coach does what is he strong at? Defense, right? That's where that is DeMeco Ryans' side of the
pretty
football.
good situational coach in general, though.
Yes.
I've been pretty impressed, especially this year.
And shout out to their GM as well for building this defense the way that he has, going and getting Daniel Hunter in free agency, going and drafting Will Anderson, going and getting Derek Stingley, going and like building this defense the way they have D'Amico Autry. Like they've gotten absolute studs after stud.
Yeah.
I think that eventually starts to pay off. I think this is the perfect game for the Texans in the wild card because I think if they were playing a better, more stronger nucleus on the offensive side, I don't know if they'd win.
Yeah.
But I've told you for weeks now, Trevor, I think this Texans team is on the verge of having a long run in this postseason. I think the Texans are getting to the AFC Championship because this defense is so damn good that even with an inept quarterback play, I think they can still overcome that. And we have seen great defenses do this just even in the last 10 years. We've seen the Broncos carry old Peyton Manning to a Super Bowl victory. We have seen, some of these other teams throughout time, even with the Chiefs having inept offensive play, their defense in 2023 helped them override things and win an ugly 17-10 game in Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen things like that take place before. I think this Texas defense is one of the best defenses I've seen in a very long time, and I'll respect the Rodgers, but I'm going to be real with you, Trevor. I think in situational football, like you just said, I trust DeMeco Ryans more than I trust Mike Tomlin at this point. And I actually think, Trevor, I'm going to say it. I'll be the first to say if I have to be. I think this is Mike Tomlin's last game as the Steelers head coach. I know everybody defends him on, he has the winning streak.
Lose,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know everybody talks about the streak of no losing seasons, but dude, eventually that doesn't matter because it was the same thing. And I know this sounds silly to say, but remember when the Ravens had that big preseason winning streak? When they're like, Ravens don't lose in the preseason.
Oh, that's
but what you know what I'm saying though? Like some of these streaks
having that many 10+ winning seasons
they get silly though after a while.
Or winning seasons in general.
Yeah, it gets silly though after a while because okay, what are you doing in the postseason? And to not win a single playoff game since 2016.
Maybe you have to have good, consistently good quarterback play.
Right, but I'm saying, okay, but my point, though, is that we
the
can...
fact they've done that with the quarterbacks they've had is pretty
right,
impressive.
but we're sitting here praising Rodgers for that. If they lose this game, dude, it's like you're at home with the better quarterback. You should win. If they don't win this game...
Are they the favorites?
I don't think they are, but why aren't they? Well, why aren't they? It's because everybody knows that Texans defense is stupid great.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the deciding factor here. Trevor, I don't think the Steelers scored 10 points in this game. I don't.
I do.
I think the Texans are going to hold them to 9 points. I don't think the Texans are going to have this great offensive game because I think TJ Watt's going to be awesome. Yeah. I think Highsmith's going to be awesome. I think that Joey Porter Jr. is going to be awesome. Like, it's going to be a defensive game. But I trust the head coach over there on the Texans sideline more. I clearly trust their defense more. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor in this game. I do like, there's something that no one's going to talk about in this one, Trevor, that could play real dividends, is the kicking matchup. Because these two teams have two of the better kickers in the league. Fairborn
kicker's used to turf, one kicker's used to playing.
That's also fair. You're right. Yeah, I'm just saying if you're looking at this matchup, say, hey, which unit do you trust the most in this matchup? I have to go Texans here, dude. And with just DK's volatility, sometimes lackluster performance, going up against Derek Stingley Jr., I think this is gonna be a low-scoring game, and I'm trusting the Texans defense to get this one done. I wouldn't hate seeing Rodgers advance, but like I said, even in his history of some really, coming up short type of performances, even in his younger years, or, younger than he is now years, MVP seasons, I think that the writing is on the wall for this one. And I think the Steelers are going to be one and done because I think the Texans are more of a legitimate, authentic playoff team than the Steelers themselves. I have the Texans winning this game 17-9. So we'll see how it goes. We'll obviously, I could be very well wrong, and I've been wrong a lot this season, so we'll see about that. But that's our postseason prediction on that. I do want to say real quick, because I know we've run way too long on the show, but just to make it official here before we get to further predictions down the road next week, and the week after.
Yeah.
Who is your Super Bowl matchup, and who do you have winning?
So,
because obviously we were wrong before the season started.
So our guy Austin kind of beat me to it. I do have the Bills in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I have the Bills and the Rams. Same pick as Austin does.
Wow.
Because, and I've been saying it since the playoffs started, dude. I've been telling you, when we're at the gym, whoever we're talking to. Josh Allen, this is it for him, in my opinion. Everyone is out of his way. Everyone who's ever been a true threat to him, any other MVPs in this league, are out of his way. I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers has been MVP in this league, but let's be honest.
I know what you meant, yeah.
So any of his peers,
Yeah.
that guys have been an actual challenge to him consistently on a yearly basis. Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes being obviously the two, and then obviously Joe Burrow, but never truly been in his way. I don't know. I just feel like this team has enough to get there, in my opinion. But this is more of Josh Allen better do it. And I know Bills fans would agree with me. I think they all feel the same way. This is it. Mahomes this year. We don't have to worry about going to Kansas City, or we don't have to worry about them coming and embarrassing us in our house. This is it for him. I think the Rams is the easiest pick out of the NFC, in my opinion. Not easy. The NFC is definitely loaded. That's going to be a journey to get that out of there with the Seahawks playing the way they've been. A lot of challenge in the NFC for sure. The AFC is pretty wide open. And I think the best. This is the best opportunity for Josh Allen to take advantage of this. And go on a run here, man. And I do not think they have the best roster, maybe even the third best roster left in the AFC right now. They're pretty depleted, especially on defense. I'm just rolling with the narrative here. This is it for him. This is what everyone wants to crown this guy's the best player in football, best quarterback in football. This is his best. Go do it. So I'm rolling with Josh here. I'm giving him the opportunity to prove himself, and I'm rolling with that. I believe it can happen. So yeah, man, I got the Bills and the Rams, but I also have the Rams beating the Bills. So, but at least got them making it.
That is, man, that is, I get where you're coming from. You and I have had these talks before about that. Just to add to it, but I do.
Yeah.
The reason why, and I've been saying, it has really nothing to do with Josh Allen in the grand scheme of things, because I just don't think he has the team around him. Like, they're so reliant on James Cook because they don't have good wide receivers.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, their tight ends are disappointing.
Khalil Shakir, that's about it, man.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about Josh Allen, I will say this: that I think that the biggest thing for me, what I'm going to be focusing on, isn't whether they win or lose. It's going to be how he performs.
Yeah.
Because if he plays like shit, then we can have that discussion about him failing. But if he goes,
Dalton Kincaid's going to have to be big for them.
Could you see a scenario though, Trevor, that Josh Allen has like a 3 touchdown game and they still lose?
Oh, we've seen it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my point. So, like, I think that I understand I'm with you on the whole point of view of, hey, you got to get it done now because Mahomes ain't going to be missing the playoffs. Yeah. So you got to do it when he's not there. That's fair.
I don't want anybody to look back and like, oh, I doubted Josh Allen. This is his moment.
No,
He'll go do it.
But my point is,
and I'm rolling with that narrative.
I don't think it's just that easy though. Oh, well, Mahomes is gone, so therefore it's his rite of passage. Because here's the problem: Josh Allen's not going to have a single home playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to win 3 road games.
He's been there before.
I know, but my point though is the Chiefs had a nucleus around Mahomes to do that. Josh Allen doesn't. And here's the other problem, Trevor. Do you really believe that Sean McDermott's going to win 3 straight road games? Do you really have that faith in him? From what you know of Sean McDermott, shitting his pants every postseason.
With the teams that are in the AFC, I think with the teams that he could possibly face, yes. I think he could go into New England and win. I think he could go into Pittsburgh and win. I think he could go into the Texans Stadium and win.
See, that's right. I differ. I have no faith in Sean McDermott to do that, man, because I've never seen it. I've never seen Sean McDermott go in big moments like that against proven quarterbacks or just top-tier quarterbacks that can play well in the postseason, because we know Lamar doesn't. That isn't something they do. And even to the extent of playing Lamar, those were in Buffalo, both games.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he went into Baltimore and did that.
Well, and let's be honest, though, about the offense and him not having any receivers. I mean, how different is his receiver core this year than it was last year? It's pretty much the same.
And that's my point, though, is that you saw that play a factor, and they had a much better defense last year.
Yeah, that was the difference. But I mean, I don't know, man. I still think they can figure it out. I think Dalton Kincaid's gotten better this year when healthy. He's been awesome.
And to that point, also, those games last year were in Buffalo.
Sure,
that plays a major factor. So that's all I'm trying to say, man. So not to go on a whole other Bills tangent here. I was just trying to use a little pushback on that. But when I look at, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, whoever makes it out of the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl.
I agree with you. Yeah,
the NFC is so significantly better than the AFC this year.
Yeah. It's going to be the Seahawks and the Rams, in my opinion.
Yeah, that I agree with.
Is so good.
And I always come down to one thing, because I'm a big Mike McDonald fan. Do you remember I said that? I was like, I like this dude. I think he's going to be a hell of a coach.
They're really good, man.
But Sean McVay is right now, of all the teams in the postseason, they have the best head coach.
Yeah.
And I'm with you 100%. I've been saying this for all season long. I think the Rams have the best overall team in the league.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford is playing the best football of his career.
Proven championship team.
Devontae Adams is healthy. Lake, their safety, is back. Their edge rush, their pass rush as a whole is awesome.
Puka on any given week is the best receiver in football.
They have a two-headed monster out of the backfield. Their offensive line does worry me sometimes. Their tackles are a little shaky. But I if the Rams stay healthy, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Who do you want to see win?
The Rams.
Yeah.
I want to see Stafford get that second ring. Because what that does is that shuts out all doubt.
You know who I want to see win.
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. But yeah.
Story with that.
But here's the interesting thing.
That's a
Here's the
freaking
interesting thing, Trevor. We're gonna have if Matt Stafford wins another Super Bowl.
Oh, dude, yeah.
We're gonna have to have a conversation about who's the better quarterback between those two. Because Matt Stafford's numbers are just as good as Aaron Rodgers'. And he's actually been the better postseason.
Touchdown to interception ratio is not as good, but it's definitely good. It's definitely very good.
But I'm saying, if you look at their postseason careers,
yeah, man, I listen.
Stafford has been just as good as Aaron Rodgers, if not better.
Yeah.
So if he wins another ring and then wins MVP this year, like, I'm just
Super Bowl
saying,
MVP.
dude. Yeah, dude. Like,
no, dude. Like
Stafford all of a
I'm
sudden
willing
starts
to do
climbing that ladder.
I'm just a Rodgers guy out through. Always have been. I just like the guy, like the player.
Right now, Rodgers is one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Without question.
Without question. Stafford does this season, wins two Super Bowls, wins an MVP, sets himself up there in the top 5 of all the stats.
Yeah.
He starts getting in the top 10 conversation for me. So maybe historically, Rodgers is not talent-wise and all that stuff. Rodgers might be the better quarterback. But if you look at longevity and all these other things, like Stafford's starting to be right there. So I selfishly want to see, because I've been a lifer with Stafford.
Yeah.
I obviously have always loved Rodgers too.
Yeah.
But Stafford's always been a guy for me because I've always been defending him because I think he was so done wrong in all those years in Detroit, carrying shit rosters. I think if he gets this second ring, that solidifies him as a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. So selfishly, I want to see that happen. And like Austin said, almost stole the words out of my mouth. I want to see Patrick Mahomes transition to more of a Stafford type quarterback where he stays in the pocket, stays safe, keeps yourself healthy, and just deliver with that rocket arm. That's what I want to see happen. I'm picking the Rams to get to the Super Bowl. And this is tough, man, because like I said, I really think with the home field advantage being a situation the Patriots could have, I think they could very well. I'm going to make this very clear. I have no faith in the Broncos. I do not think they get out of the divisional round. I think they are one and done. Because Bo Nix is going to blow it for them. I don't have any faith in Bo Nix. I know they're going to be at home, rested, all that fun jazz. I think that there are about 3 teams in the AFC that can go in there and beat them, legitimately. And that team's going to be the Texans, because I think the Texans are going to the Super Bowl. I think their defense is going to carry them to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to win it, because they're not. I think the Rams will beat them, because this is going to be the matchup of the 2 best nucleuses in the NFL going head-to-head. I think the Texans have the best defense, and I think when everything is healthy, the Rams have the best offense. I think they have the most prolific and efficient offense in the league, top to bottom, with Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum.
I like that matchup.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the matchup. I'm picking the Rams to beat the Texans in the Super Bowl. It's going to be, because the AFC is going to be so crazy that it's going to be one of the 2 things. Either you're going to be dead on, or I think I'm going to be dead on. I think the Patriots, when it comes to a Super Bowl situation, is still a year away. I don't think they're going to get to the Super Bowl, but I do think that the AFC Championship is going to be Patriots Texans. That's my pick. But don't be shocked if the Jaguars make a run. Don't be shocked if your Bills your Bills pick happens. Yep. But right now, I'm going to go Texans Rams in the Super Bowl, and the Rams get that second ring in 3 years or 4 years, and make a little bit of a legacy out of McVay and Stafford's career. So that's where we're at, guys. We've gone way too long and keeping you guys waiting. Let's get to some questions here, Trevor. What's going on? And speak it, man.
Yeah, we got a few in here. Let me get to the first one here. Our guy, Dustin Orton. Now that Mike McDaniels is actually fired, thoughts on him as an OC? Also, thoughts on Hill's comments about he doesn't fit the scheme?
Yeah, so I saw him. I saw Tyreek Hill replying to Mark Gunnels on Twitter saying that McDaniel doesn't fit the scheme. Well, Tyreek's not wrong, but here's the problem. Or here's the issue with Tyreek, what Tyreek Hill's saying. In the scenario that if you're trying to fit McDaniel into just Andy Reid's scheme and he's just the understudy of Andy Reid, you're correct. But if Mike McDaniel was to come to Kansas City, he's going to be running the offense. Yeah. So the scheme kind of shifts in a way where it's Andy Reid and him in a kind of a hybrid where it's, hey, let's figure out a way to kind of infuse these 2 schemes. So yes, you're right, Tyreek, in that sense, but you're not right in what would actually be the reality if McDaniel was in Kansas City. So to answer the question, the first question, yes, I would 100% want Mike McDaniel as the Chiefs OC. He's one of the most brilliant offensive minds in the league. There's no question in my mind he'd be right at the top with Cliff Kingsbury in my mind. So yes, I would be all for it. And no, I don't agree with Tyreek Hill in the grand scheme of what is to be said about him coming to Kansas City as the offensive coordinator, the understanding that comes with that.
In the same breath, what are your thoughts on Bieniemy returning of all of this is Justin Orton as well, sorry.
Yeah.
In the same breath, what are your thoughts on Bieniemy returning of all former Reed people? Only benefit I see is he at least will speak up if something needs to be said, regardless who it is.
Look, I know
No
everybody.
BS guy.
I know everybody talks about how he was like, oh, he's the guy that doesn't put up with BS. I get all that, but guys, I want to again bring us back because I know there's like this revisionist history thing going on with Eric Bieniemy where everyone just all of a sudden misses him. Yeah. Trev, we were doing this show and we had people constantly telling us how much they were ready for Bieniemy to be gone. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we just miss him all of a sudden. Like, it's just really funny how that went, man. Like I remember everybody blaming him for that 2021 AFC Championship loss because they said he pissed off Patrick Mahomes and did all the things at halftime and set all these things in motion, and everybody wanted him gone. I remember people were happy when he was gone. Yeah. Now it's just like a few years later, and everybody's like, oh, we need him again. We just this Tuesday, Trevor, Shaggy and I had Harvey Williams on our 65 Toss Power Talk show. Harvey Williams knows people that know Eric Bieniemy very well. He said, according to everybody that knows Eric Bieniemy, he's an asshole. He's hard to get along with. Yes, he knows football, but players can't stand him. Why would you want that back in Kansas City?
I've always heard he's very egotistical.
I am a fan of Eric Bieniemy in the sense of what he is as a coach. Like, I think he's a good mind. Yeah. There is a reason why Eric Bieniemy's career has not gone anywhere, guys.
This offseason of any offseason, this is the last time I'd want to bring in any more hindrance
100%
into our locker room.
Right.
like I love Eric Bieniemy.
Yes,
but
we have love for him.
Yes.
But guys, bringing him back in any capacity as an offensive coordinator would be going backwards.
Yeah.
You don't. There's a reason why the Chiefs didn't bring him back. It's not because he went on to be a head coach.
Yeah.
That would have been a different story.
He's a product of Andy Reid, not the other way around.
Right.
He didn't bring anything new here.
He does not make this team better. The Chiefs need to go and get a mind outside of the box.
Yeah.
You would literally be diving back into the box. Pause. If you went and got Eric Bieniemy,
the box.
You know what I mean? Like, what's in the box? Oh, it's Eric Bieniemy again. That doesn't elevate this offense, guys. Yeah. And we need to be truthful about this whole take about Eric Bieniemy. Let's stop pretending like y'all weren't super happy when the dude was gone. I don't speak for everybody, but a large portion of this fan base was stoked that he was gone.
And let's be honest. Like, all the names that are out there right now, if we hire Eric Bieniemy, we're going to be pissed.
Dude, most people don't even know what coaching staff he's on right
you know
now.
What I'm saying? I don't think he is on one.
He is. He's with the Bears. He's the running backs coach.
I thought he was.
But he's a running back. That's my point, though. It's like his career has gone. He's been demoted.
Yeah.
He went from being an OC to now running backs coach. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Guys, it's because this dude doesn't get along with people. He's a prick.
Yeah.
And I'm not dissing him. It's just the facts. We know what people are saying they miss about him are the reasons why he's not getting better jobs. Isn't that ironic to anybody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be truthful about Eric Bieniemy at this point. Yep. His career's gone nowhere because he's a dick to people. And people don't like that. If the Chiefs wanted him so badly, why'd they let him go? Like I said, it'd been one thing if he left, Trevor, because he was getting a head coaching job. That didn't happen. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's a non-starter for me, guys. We're not even having this talk about Eric Bieniemy coming back to Kansas City because it's not happening. If he wants to come back as a positions coach, fine, whatever. You want to come back as a running backs coach? I'd rather have him than Todd Pinkston. But I'm not going to come and have him come back and revisit the OC position because that's going backwards.
You hear that, Dustin? He's not coming back. Staying on the Bears. Justin Norton follows that up with a third and final question. We need edge and defense 100%, jumping the gun here. But let's say Chiefs get rid of Rice due to outside events. Who you targeting in draft or free agency? I do know you like the Colts one. He's talking about your boy at the Colts.
Alec Pierce.
Pierce.
Yeah. So obviously, I think no matter what happens with Rashee Rice, I think the Chiefs need to go after Alec Pierce, spend real money on him, go and get a veteran difference maker in free agency because he is one of the few guys out there that's even worth spending money on this offseason. The Chiefs need to upgrade at wide receiver, both in free agency and in the draft, in my opinion. Yes, it is without question edge rush. Trevor and I have been in lockstep on this. Austin Thompson was in lockstep of this. A lot of knowledgeable people when it comes to the Chiefs community are saying that the Chiefs have got to do that because, like Austin said, is exactly what I've been saying. If you don't go and get edge rush first in the draft, when are you getting it?
Yeah.
Because if you look at any of the Chiefs' previous picks at edge, it was always late in the first or in the third round or places like that. That's not where you're getting these Will Andersons and Aiden Hutchinsons and Myles Garretts. There's a reason why those guys go in the top 5, everybody, because they're that damn good. Yeah. Maybe Ruben Bain and David Bailey don't turn into one of those guys, but what if they do? Why is nobody talking about that? Why is everybody always talking about, this draft doesn't have the guy? What if they do? Like, I remember, I know nobody wants me to use Warren Sapp as a point of reference, but we had that man on NFL Network literally calling Myles Garrett a bum when he was the number 1 pick in 2017. And now we see Myles Garrett, who is 100% first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest pass rushers in the history of this game. So what I'm saying is, even people that played this game at a high level can get evaluations wrong. So if you guys don't believe in Ruben Bain and David Bailey or Keldrick Folk, fine. That doesn't change the fact that the Chiefs still need to go after one of them.
On these guys.
Yes. Yeah. Like, maybe they do whiff on one of these dudes, but they could have whiffed on Patrick Mahomes. You still got to take the shot. Yeah. Steph Curry might miss a 3 at the end of the game. Is he not going to shoot it? You still got to put the ball up. You still got to go for the victory. And the Chiefs have never had this opportunity in the Mahomes era and probably never will have this opportunity again as long as Patrick Mahomes is who he is. So you got to capitalize and go get that edge rusher that can be the wrecker and defender. And I understand the point of emphasis on the wide receiver position too. If the Chiefs don't go edge rush and decide, no, we're hell-bent on on the offensive side, they're going to have to go wide receiver. I do think that Jordan Tyson is the better player, in my opinion, for this offense out of Arizona State. Yes. Carnell Tate is really good. I like him out of Ohio State. I would rather Jordan Tyson because he's that X receiver that I think the Chiefs can really utilize. He's like 6'3", 200 pounds. Great receiver. I would prefer to stay at edge rush. I'm going to die on that hill forever.
I think if that does happen and we do got to go receiver first with the 9th pick, do you think we still go after Alec Pierce? I think we should.
Yes, absolutely.
Double tap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that changes the mentality of how you draft and how you move forward in this offseason. So if you say, hey, Rashee Rice isn't on the team, let's say that happens.
Puts that much more emphasis on Gelati and Omar Norman Lott to become dogs.
Well, and then the Chiefs probably have to spend money at edge rush. Then you're looking. Then we'd have to start talking about I don't even know who the free agents would be. Yeah. I have no idea right now. I have to look.
Max Crosby's on the rocks.
There is a 0% chance the Raiders trade him to the Chiefs.
I was just trying to make
that'd be great. But yeah,
trying to make it move a little bit right now. That's all.
I think, like I said, it would change. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Like if we all can acknowledge the fact the Chiefs have real problems at edge rush, but you don't want to go edge rush in the first round.
Yeah.
How are you answering it? Yeah. Like I throw that to the people that have a problem with that scenario. Present to me a case of how you fix the edge rush by not doing that. Are you guys going to go drop $100 million on the next free agent edge rusher? Highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Highly doubt it. So, yeah, that's where I stand on it.
I'm with you. Micah Hayes, you guys have any interest in signing wide receiver George Pickens if Kelsey and Rice are gone next year? George Pickens is a free agent.
Yes, he is.
I think he's going to get tagged.
He's also, he might. But he also might make $35 million a year.
He could get tagged in trade. I don't think they're going to pay. I don't think they're going to get the
Have you seen his market?
Well, have you seen the other guys they're paying on that team right now? I mean, Dak's got a massive contract, and so does.
But the point to that is, okay, Dak's going to be 33 next season. You pay to win now. So if you believe that you guys can get to the postseason and do something with Dak while he's still in his prime,
I'm gonna be real. I don't want George Pickens on this team. I don't. He's a great talent. I just don't like him. I don't want him. We're going from dealing with this right now with Rashee Rice. I don't want to get another guy. He's a knucklehead, man. Let's be real. He's a guy that's several times going back to college. He's quit on games, quit on plays, massive moments. He's just fizzled out. I don't want that guy. He's a highlight reel.
Yeah, he doesn't fit. Because him and Rashee's issues are so polarizingly different.
I don't want to get any other different problems.
No, I'm being serious. As crazy as this sounds, and this might even be wrong to say, but I'm just going to say it. the Chiefs would rather deal with guys like Rashee Rice than guys like George Pickens.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that?
Well, yeah.
No, hear me out. Dude, I know that sounds wrong, but hear me out. I'm talking about the fact that the Chiefs would rather have a guy like Rashee who doesn't fuck things up in the locker room but has off-field issues than a guy who doesn't have off-field issues like George Pickens but fuck things up in the locker room. Dude, George
guys
Pickens
that don't fuck things up.
Obviously, yes.
That would be great.
Yes, clearly. We'd all rather have Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd rather have guys. Yeah, you'd rather have a Torrey Holt, right? Yeah, obviously. But my point is, the Chiefs don't like guys that ruffle shit in the locker room. Like, they would rather deal with guys that have off-field issues than guys that come in there and start shit. Like, you know, they're big on culture in the locker room.
So what you're saying is we should get Eric Bieniemy and George Pickens. That's what you're saying. Is that what you're telling me?
Clearly. I mean, obviously. No, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know that sounds super fucked up, but I really hope you guys hear what I'm saying. Yeah. They clearly don't want either issue. Yeah. I'm saying, though, that if they had to choose between them, like, well, we'll deal with the asshole that's, you know, I'm not saying what Rashee's accused of is what the Chiefs would be okay with. Right. I'm saying off-field issues. Like, they'd rather deal with a Rashee Rice than a George Pickens because George Pickens is fucking things up inside the locker room. And if we're being honest here, that's what matters most to the Chiefs is locker room culture.
Yeah, man, that's Andy Reid's thing.
Yeah.
Super Devil Juice, speak it. Unless you like trading back to 28 or 29, we have to draft a defensive tackle or double dip at defensive end with second squared picks.
Yep.
If everything goes okay with Rashee, I 100% want to double dip on the defensive line. 100%. That's where I'm at. And then take a running back or a tight end or a receiver maybe.
Yep.
And go right back to defense.
Well, and quarterback needs to be a position of concern too.
But we know where we can find those guys.
I know.
Dude.
I'm not even saying like you have to go and take one of the 40th overall pick.
I believe Noah Williams is the dude that's going to be a starter and a legitimate starter for us next year. And I think we can build around him. And I think you can get a guy in the 5th, 6th round.
I will give people some homework here, Trevor. There's a cornerback that I have been looking at out of Clemson, 𝚂𝙾𝙸𝚂. That's a guy to go watch. He is he is a Spags guy. I think if the Chiefs, if they end up getting that late first-round pick, and then still have the 40th overall pick, I think there's a real chance they draft a corner in one of those picks.
Washington?
No, he's out of Clemson.
Okay.
Yeah, Clemson. Yeah. He's a big physical receiver.
Gotcha.
That'd be a dude to watch for. Now, again, our guy Austin said it. If the Chiefs end up keeping Christian Fulton, then all of a sudden you have, you know, Noah Williams, Christian Fulton. Maybe you keep Jalen Watson. I don't think they're going to. I think he's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
The market for Jalen Watson is really nice. So I think he's gone.
He's already kind of made it pretty obvious.
Yes. So I'm just saying, I think they might keep Christian Fulton. If they keep Christian Fulton, that knocks the peg down for the cornerback position. But if they cut Christian Fulton and save the $5 million, then cornerback becomes one of the top needs for the Chiefs. So just pay attention, guys. Like I said, 𝚂𝙾𝙸𝙀 out of Clemson. There's a couple other guys I've been paying attention to as well. But right now, like I said, there is no debate, guys. I will debate with any of you to the day I die. There is no question what the number one priority is in this offseason. Obviously, getting Patrick Mahomes healthy, but in the draft, you got to answer the edge rush position.
Yeah. I want to preface this next question with there are no stupid questions. This is a safe place, but I'll ask this question anyways. Super Devil Juice, would you be opposed to drafting a QB in the 5th round? That's why I wanted to preface this question.
No, look,
not shit to my guy, Super Devil Juice.
I don't think it's the worst question, honestly, because I understand why you would ask that question.
Yeah.
There is certain levels of uncertainty on Patrick Mahomes.
Has a torn ACL.
And the Chiefs don't have a good quarterback behind him on the roster. From what I've always known about Andy Reid is he prefers to have a veteran behind his quarterback, his starting quarterback.
There's always a veteran hanging out.
Yeah. If you look at it, I mean, outside of Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid has drafted, I think, 2 other quarterbacks total.
Yeah.
I want to say, is it Aaron Murray and man, I have to really think about it. I mean, Aaron Murray was a 5th round pick. So
I can't think of another.
I feel like I'm missing somebody that's so obvious, but yeah. To answer the question though, I think there's a significantly better chance that the Chiefs go and sign a veteran free agent quarterback than draft one. I really, especially with the limited amount of picks the Chiefs have.
I can see he's going after Joe Flacco.
If the Chiefs had like 11 picks, or 12 picks like they did in 2022, yeah, go throw a pick at a guy in the 5th, 6th round, that quarterback, whatever. But I'm with Trevor. Like I really think like Honestly, Joe Flacco would be one hell of a backup. I would love to have Joe Flacco. Yeah. I'd love to get Jameis Winston. Yeah. Like there are guys out there. I mean, maybe they bring back Gardner Minshew. Who knows? I think Gardner will probably be fighting for a starting job next year because I think he's good enough to fight for one. Especially like I said, look at the Saints. Like Tyler Shuck and Gardner Minshew could legitimately fight. I know. But I'm saying, like, if you brought Gardner Minshew there, that would only help Tyler Shuck because Shuck knows, I have a legitimate backup now. Like I'm not dealing with Spencer Rattler. You know what I mean? Like I'm dealing with a legitimate veteran quarterback. Sure. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he would be the starting quarterback. I'm saying he would have a legit.
He'll go tease somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of fire under their ass.
To answer the question, like I said, I don't see a realistic option right now for the Chiefs to go quarterback because they just have a limited amount of picks at this time. Yeah. If we find out by this time next week the Chiefs traded Trent McDuffie, or obviously the new league year has to happen, but I'm saying like in March. If we hear that Trent McDuffie gets traded for multiple picks, then we can have that conversation. Right now, I just don't see it being realistic.
Gotcha. Last question here from Mac10. Speak it. What direction should KC go more, offense or defense? I say offense. Trade McDuffie, sacrifice a year on defense, and hope they hit on those draft picks just like the Rams quickly rebuild.
Well, if you sacrifice a year on the defense, you're sacrificing a season in whole.
I feel like we just sacrificed a year this year, so yeah.
Well, I mean, to answer the question, what years did the Chiefs win the Super Bowls, Trevor? 2019, 2022, 2023. All 3 seasons the Chiefs had top-tier defenses.
Yeah.
And ironically, their offense, I think in 2019 they were like the 7th-ranked offense, which is really good. But in the 2022 they had a great offense. They led the league, but their defense was 2nd in the league in sacks.
We need defensive linemen.
Yes.
I mean, that's just.
And here's the thing.
Outside of the Rashee Rice situation, if that falls apart, then we could be talking about something else.
And the Chiefs have clearly adapted to the mentality of you draft defense and you pay offense. Yeah. I'm not saying don't draft any wide or offensive players. Obviously, they need to draft a running back. I'd like for them to draft a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But what are their ultimate needs? It's clearly on the defensive side because Leo Chenal is not getting paid. The Chiefs are not keeping Leo Chenal. So there's another position. They're going to probably lose 3 quarterbacks this offseason. So that's another position. So, you know what I mean? Like, that alone is 4 positions right there. We're not even talking defensive line because Jerry Tillery's gone. Mike Pinnell's gone. Derek Notty's gone. Who else am I missing? Mike Gannis getting cut. That's several defensive players right there. So if you're not going to draft defense this year, then you're conceding to the fact the Chiefs are going to be bad again. And I don't think Andy Reid is signing up for that this late in his career and his life. So, no, the Chiefs are going to do whatever they can to be competitive in 2026.
Agreed. That is it from the people, man.
Great stuff, guys. Really appreciate it. I know that the college football championships have been going on, so I know you guys are probably all doing that. But nevertheless, we appreciate all the questions that were here. Nevertheless, we appreciate all you guys. And if you guys would be so kind, go to YouTube, hit us up on the Spoken Podcast there, subscribe, notify, like, all that cool stuff, but get in the comments, man. We want you guys to be a part of the show every single week because that is why we do this, to talk with you guys, to discuss things with you, and we appreciate that in the meantime. So, Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Total was holding the L for you this week.
Listen, man, it's been a long-ass show. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet to the point here. My L is going to go to the Bengals and the Ravens. Like I said, the Bills made the dance. Herbert's in the dance. These guys, these are Patrick Mahomes' peers. These are all the pick your year, which guy was going to take over Mahomes. And, you know, one guy's, obviously Lamar's won 2 MVPs, legitimately won 2 MVPs in this league. He's a statistical phenom. But now he's outright missing the playoffs. Got knocked out of the playoff hopes by a 42-year-old quarterback. And Joe Burrow, once again, can't stay healthy to even become a true rival to Patrick Mahomes. And, you know, finished with a handful of wins again. Right? This is why this is a part of my fuel for my Josh Allen take going to the Super Bowl, because this is it, man. Like, the narrative dies here if you don't make it.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to win it, but if you at least make the Super Bowl, we can still talk about you. You know what I mean? That's cool. But to outright miss the playoffs, Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow here, Herbert hasn't proven shit to be a true rival to Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. But the other 2 guys have. You know, they've had some battles, even though Mahomes got the better of Lamar every time. But they both are out of the playoffs just outright. and now one of them just had lost their head coach, and one going into basically a full rebuild. It looks like in Baltimore. All these chances, all these, and even Stephen A. talking about before the season, when the season was getting started, he said the Baltimore Ravens were going to win the Super Bowl. There's these takes. Everyone must. I mean, I know the Chiefs. I know that the Chiefs are down, but this is kind of my moment too. Like they were down, we could kind of reflect, look around. We're at rock bottom right now. We can kind of look around who's around us. The guys that are supposed to be taking advantage of us being out of the picture are joining us at rock bottom.
Yep.
You know, like, and if the Bills get knocked out round one, welcome to the party, bitch. There's room at this table. You know what I mean? Like, and this is your guys' moment. That we're out of the picture. You ain't got to worry about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So, for that, man, the Baltimore Ravens and the Bengals, these teams are supposed to be our rivals, supposed to be taking advantage, especially at moments like this, where the window's wide open for anybody to go get their chance, because that window closes next season. So for that, Baltimore Ravens, Bengals, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, do me a solid favor and hold this cell.
Mine is simple. There are NFL records that sometimes you look at and you go, man, how is that possible? And we had one this season. How does a team go 17 games without an interception?
Bro. Oh, man.
Especially when you this offseason not only hired a defensive-minded head coach, but a guy who literally played defensive back in his career while playing in the NFL for a very long time. I don't know how Aaron Glenn keeps it. I don't know how he has his job still. I know you've made points about like, yeah, this isn't really his team. He didn't draft, he didn't sign Justin Fields. That wasn't his. That's all true.
Yeah.
Dude, you're a defensive-minded head coach, and your defense didn't get one single interception. That has never happened before.
It's insane, bro.
It is an unbelievable. Dare I say, I don't think there's a better chance that someone breaks Peyton Manning's touchdown and yards record in the same season than this ever happening again.
Yeah.
Like, I really believe that.
Statistically, you're correct.
It's almost impossible for this to happen.
This is going to be an anomaly.
It's unreal, dude. Like, for real. So, there is no question on my mind. All week long, I've been just chomping at the bit to give this one out. Because this is not only one of the most unfathomable records, dude, it is by far the most embarrassing.
There's accidental interceptions.
Yes! like tip drill shit. Like, this is the NFL. Like, think about how many plays go into a single game, not to mention 17.
Yeah.
I mean, they've played thousands of plays and not one single pick. That is, my brain hurts trying to understand that. So while my brain's trying to do that, Jets, Aaron Glenn, y'all do me a solid and hold this cell. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's wild, bro.
Long show. Not going to sit here and blabber anymore. Please, if you guys would be so nice, though, just subscribe to us on YouTube. Chime in over on YouTube as well. We're trying to grow and monetize this bad boy. We thank you in advance. But we've talked enough tonight. We hope you guys have a great weekend and enjoy playoff football. You guys know our predictions. Tell your friends about us. Spread the word. We very much appreciate it. Shout out to our guy, Austin Thompson from Skin in the Game podcast. Go follow his stuff, man. He's a great guy. Great content. You guys saw that clear as day on this show. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. For Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler puts all this together back into things of Red Tribe Cinema. I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 342 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we are back here in 1 week's time to talk about what's going on in the world of the Chiefs and the current affairs and the NFL playoffs and whatever the hell's going on in the world of sports, we out of this bitch.
Go Chiefs.